And now, the most famous words in racing, the command to start engines from Tony Jones of Meijer.
Gentlemen, start your engines!
Crank them up, gang. Fired up. Fired up. Yeah, crank them up. We have fire. Fired up. Got oil pressure switches going on. All right, brother. Have fun.
The NASCAR Nationwide Series of Kentucky is brought to you by Carfax. Buy New Touch of Gray, lets you keep some gray hair. And Mike's Hard Lemonade. In a world gone soft, someone's got to be hard. Take a look at the starting lineup across the top of the screen. We mentioned about the fact that 7 of our top 8 qualifiers have never won a Nationwide Series race. And how about the other guys that won 2 poles in the first 3 NASCAR Nationwide races? Dick Trickle, Ryan Newman, and Harry Gant. And here's Joey Logano joining that group. A great lineup with a lot of young kids up front. All right, let's talk a little bit about our in-race reporter, because that's going to be that man right there, Brad Keselowski. Let's get it started, Rusty.
Hey, Brad, Rusty Wallace, ESPN, you got us?
Sir.
Hey, Brad, ESPN.com mailbag question is from Susan from Seattle, Washington. Her question is, how does it feel to finally enter a race with a win under your belt?
Feels great. You know, I'm really lucky to drive this U.S. Navy Chevrolet, and team's been getting better every week. I get better with them, and feels good to get that out of the way here at Nashville. But we've got a long ways to go here. We want to go for the points title, and that's step one, is getting that win out of the way.
Hey, Brad, you qualified lucky 13. Do you have a good enough car to get this thing into victory lane again?
That's hard telling. The track's going to change a lot as it goes into the night, and I think we have a lot better night car than we do a day car. So I don't know. We'll see come about 9:30, 10 o'clock what we got.
All right, buddy. Have a good race.
And, thanks, guys.
And, of course, we're also going to be able to talk to his crew chief tonight as well. Andy?
Tony Eury Sr., Andy Petrie up here. You got us?
Sir, loud and clear.
Hey, Pop, you guys had a limited practice session this morning. Tell me a little bit about what you got here tonight.
Well, we hope we got a good car. We made a few changes there before qualifying. Weren't real happy with our car in practice. We were real tight. So made a spring change, bite change, a little track bar adjustment here. Hopefully be good here when it gets dark.
Hey, Tony, you know, you guys won that race last week. Tell us what it's like around the shop. Tell us about the atmosphere in the shop and around the garage area this week.
Well, you know, a win always picks that atmosphere up. You know, we had a good time around there Monday. Everybody's celebrating, high-fiving, having a good time. So, you know, Monday afternoon, everybody went home, came back Tuesday ready to go to work, trying to come here and win this race in Kentucky.
10-4, maybe you can keep that freight train rolling. Good luck tonight.
All right, thank you.
All right, so now we've heard from Brad and Tony, and let's take a look at the rest of our onboard cameras tonight as you see the field starting to form up. Of course, Mike Bliss with our Miccosukee Resorts camera. Clint Boyer, the points leader right now with the Camping World Chevy. Mike Wallace with his Geico Chevy. And then Scott Wimmer in the Holiday Inn Chevrolet. And Carl Edwards, the City Financial Ford. Stephen Wallace with the Jimmy John's the onboard camera. And then you got Brad Keselowski, as we've just talked to. And David Ruderman with the Aaron's Toyota. And we have one other high-definition onboard camera. Take a look at Daniel Rankin. He's the rear tire changer for Clint Boyer's team. He's from Chattanooga, Tennessee. Said, I used to drive, but I learned real fast I should be working on them and not driving them. And we'll be loving that, working with him tonight. Smile for us. Good job, Daniel. All right, let's get updated on the final stories from pit lane before we go green. Vince Welch, you're up.
Well, Marty, there are 4 18-year-old race car drivers in this field, including the man that will lead them to the green flag tonight, Joey Logano. But as I spoke earlier today with Brian Clausen, who will start 6th tonight and is the Ray Bestis Rookie of the Year points leader, he told me that when you strap on that helmet, it's not about age. It's about talent and experience and your team. He said he doesn't believe that being 18 will keep either of these 4 drivers from challenging for victory tonight if they have their act together, both on the track and in pit lane. Clausen told me tonight, he said, before we can challenge for a win, however, we've got to be in position at the end. And that's part of the tough battle that these drivers will face this evening. Shannon?
Well, Vince, all 7 races here at Kentucky have been won from a qualifying effort of 11th or better. That's good news for Jason Leffler because he qualified 10th for tonight's race. Now, Jason Leffler in that 38 team currently 10th in the point standings. However, they've had 2 DNFs in the past 3 races. races. Looking for a good race here tonight to get that team back on track. Jamie Little.
Well, Shannon, I have a dark horse for you all tonight. Cale Gale in the 33 car. Why? Well, last weekend in Nashville, he had the best run of his career going before a loose wheel forced him into a wreck. Well, they rebounded. This morning they were fastest in practice. And tonight, well, the team is a little fired up. Just a couple hours ago in that truck race, KHI driver Ron Hornaday got into it with Kyle Busch. He went from first to third in the points, and I know a win here tonight by Cale Gale will turn the spirits around. Mike Massaro?
Well, Jamie, young Landon Castle hails from Cedar Rapids, Iowa, an area of the country that was ravaged by massive flooding earlier this week. Castle would like nothing more than to deliver some inspiration to the folks who are suffering in his home state. He comes into this race with some motivation. A week ago in Nashville, he came from the back to the front twice and recorded a career-best 9th place finish. He has motivation, confidence, wants to inspire the folks back at home here tonight from Kentucky. Marty?
All right, thanks, guys. As we get ready to go, a couple of cars, in fact, several cars, have to move to the rear of the field. Of course, you can see why. Kyle Busch, of course, with the driver change. Kevin LePage, unapproved adjustments. And a couple of guys missed the drivers' meeting. Danny Eflin, Bernie Lamar, and Dwayne Lyke, after a crash in qualifying, had to go to the backup, and Stanton Barrett had an engine change. All right, let's talk about what's going to happen tonight in this race. We're going to go 200 laps around this mile-and-a-half oval here in Kentucky. That's 300 total miles. Pit road speed will be 45. Pit window under green, 55 to 60 laps. Rusty, let's talk a little bit about sleepers.
I tell you, I got to pick Marcus Ambrose in that STP car right there. I mean, this guy's been good. He's qualified good, and I'd like to see that STP car back in victory lane, man. Reminds me of Richard Petty.
And you don't have to look too much farther for my sleeper. He's up front right there, Jason Keller. He's due. He's won a lot of races in this series. Here he is qualified up front, and I think he's due to have a really good finish tonight.
All right, guys, as they get ready to come out of turn number 4, it is Flag Day, and the Border Patrol, the sponsor for Kenny Wallace's car, handed out free flags to everybody tonight, and there are the fans, and they will be waving to wave also Rick Pitino, who will be our honorary starter at the flag stand. So the pace car pulls off. We get ready to go full throttle as it is about to go racing. Race number 16, Kentucky Speedway.
Green, green, green.
Already got a car off the pace way in the back. We're hearing word that the 28 is off the pace, so we'll wait and see if we can get word on Kenny Wallace. And we have caution coming out on the track at the end of lap number 1.
No power, nothing wrong, team.
So for Kenny Wallace, who's making his 399th career start tonight, it looks like
there's nothing.
The race is over.
Oh, I tell you what, I don't know if it's over yet. Marty says he's got no power. He might have accidentally hit the kill switch on the steering wheel. I don't know, Andy. Something like that could have gone wrong.
Anything could have happened. The ignition boxes could have went out, battery connections. There's a lot of things can make that car stop.
Well, the guys are going for the pins, and they'll find out if they can get the car refired and get him back out there. So we're under our first caution. Remember, we had 3 cautions in 16 laps last year. Then it settled down. You're looking in the engine compartment behind the wall of the 28 as Kenny Wallace and the crew try and diagnose this problem. Let's quickly bring in Tim Brewer at the Chevy Tech Center. Tim, what do you think might be the issue here?
Tell you what, it's one of two things. They've either got a mechanical fuel pump like on the front of the car, or they got a cable-driven fuel pump back here. Now, the cable-driven fuel pump is mounted on the rear firewall, and it's literally run by a cable that's run through the car. But we've seen this problem before. But, you know, the guys over at Waterman Fuel Pumps, they worked on these things pretty religiously, and they thought they eliminated all the problems. But if there's a cable problem, what it is, it's a meshing deal to where it's not running the gears properly, so it's not putting any fuel to the engine. Marty?
All right, thanks, Tim. We'll keep our eye on that and see what the team can do to get back out. All you have to do is check on keyword Auto Tech. You can hear the engine firing, maybe.
It's trying to get fuel. It just won't fire up, you know, and you hate it for the Border Patrol. They bought all these American flags for these fans, over 70,000 American flags. People are waving them right now. Really supporting this sport, these guys are.
All right, so let's get ready to go back to green flag racing. Kyle Busch, you remember he started at the back of the field. He has already picked up 10 positions. he is up to 25th place. And that was in one green flag lap. Here we go again, 70,000 plus on their feet, their American flags waving, and we're back to green flag racing here at Kentucky.
Well, guys, it looks like they're getting through turn 1 and 2 okay. I was a little concerned about that because the track's been sitting for a while. Not a lot of cars running on it for 4 or 5 hours, but so far, so good. The next thing I want to see is the second lane's going to come in and how fast that's going to happen.
Well, one thing that's happened is the racetrack has cooled down a lot in that time you're talking about since they've been on it. So it's got a lot more grip in it. So these cars are just, you know, they're probably feeling really good to these drivers. And if that groove will move out, you'll see some tremendous racing. Right here, you got Kyle Busch making a move.
And there you see he's at 25th position. Remember, he has had absolutely 0 laps in this race car before the green flag fell.
Marty, one thing he's got going for him, his teammate Joey Logano in the 20 car has had a lot of practice here this morning, and so they can probably talk to each other about the setup, but look at how fast he's flying through the field.
He's passing Carl Edwards like Carl's a rookie.
Well, we saw Carl Edwards dive in there and try that second lane, but it wasn't quite ready. Shannon?
Yeah, I spoke to Kyle Busch. I asked him how he stays focused and moves his way up through the field from starting in the back position. He said, I just pass one car at a time. You know, 2004, he had to go to the back of the field, and he worked his way back up and won the race, guys. So he certainly can do it here tonight.
Started 43rd in 04, and as you said, he did win the event. And right now he's looking at Chase Miller and gives Chase a little nudge. Says, son, I'm coming through.
Okay, there's 1, 2, 3 cars a lap. He's just passing that corner. I thought he said one per lap.
No, he said one at a time.
Andy's got a lot of momentum. I mean, you just can't slow that car down. Once you start passing them, you don't get out of the gas pedal and touch a brake. You take advantage of that momentum, and that's what Kyle's doing right now. He's just flying through this thing.
All right, let's move up a little bit further. That is Scott Wimmer going around, our in-race reporter, and last week winner Brad Keselowski. And that is a battle for 10th. Give it to Wimmer.
Scott Wimmer's team, they're trying some different things with the front end geometry, Rusty. They were talking about doing some things different than their teammate Clint Boyer and some of the other Childress guys, trying to learn something because they've been struggling just a little bit on those 1.5 mile tracks, and they need a new package. So they're trying something different tonight.
Yeah, I was talking to those guys a little bit like you were, Andy, and they said they don't know what it is. They got to do something, so I'm glad that they're trying something like that. And Wimmer's had some practice here this morning, and Boyer really has not. So they're really relying on Wimmer to pull this train changes out and see if it works.
That is Kelly Byers right in front of him in the Clorox Ford, and he is closing on him. And take a look a little bit further. There's the 5 of Landon Castle side by side with the 27 of Brad Coleman. That is for position as well. That's 7th, 8th, 9th, all sort of grouped together.
When you see Wimmer right behind these guys, he's still marching to the front.
Well, remember, Wimmer loves this place. I mean, he finished 3rd here last year.
You know, this is their type of racetrack. The Richard Childress-led team, their nationwide cars. You remember, for so long, they're the first ones to get those front ends down and get those cars through the air, get them handling good. And they kind of lost their mojo just a little bit, but it looks like they're getting it back.
You know, when you're the first guys to learn something, you know, you have it for a little while, but then you've got a bullseye on your back. Everybody else is watching what you're doing. They're catching up, and sometimes they get ahead of you.
I tell you, the one car I've been watching that, talking about getting ahead of you, I'm watching Kyle Busch. Look at this guy's got ahead of everybody right now.
Busch, he's just gotten around David Ruderman, guys, and that puts him up to 16th position, and we're working lap 11. Well, this is incredible.
Talk about, you know, qualifying bad really hurting you. It hasn't hurt this cat right now. But, you know, going back a little bit, we were talking about the 29 car of Wimmer. I tell you, the 88 car of Brad Keselowski, they figured out how to get that front end down and put a lot of wedge in that body we talked about and make these cars handle better.
He has picked up 19 positions so far. Oh, no, and Chase Miller for the second time has hit the wall. Yes, in practice this morning, he tagged it with the primary. Now he's done it with the backup. It's been an expensive day.
That's the last thing you want to do is tear up that backup car this early.
So our second caution on lap 13. And you can see hard contact to the rear. Let's take a look.
Just racing by Stephen Wallace. It's in the corner. And we've seen this be a tricky corner right here.
Oh, it's a classic case. You're just getting aerodynamically loose on the inside of a car. You get so compacted against a car, guys, the air doesn't get to the rear spoiler. A driver loses it, and that's what you got to watch at a track like this going into turn 1 and into turn 3.
Under our second yellow here at Kentucky. Don't forget to join host Nicole Mansky for NASCAR Now and get the latest news and information of the viewers' favorite drivers and teams. All that inside info, biggest names in the sport. It's NASCAR Now, the daily destination. It's going to be on tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern. All right, we had several takers during this second caution period, including Carl Edwards. And if you remember in the pre-race, he talked about major changes. Boy, they went after it.
They did. They came down here, and they're going to change the bump steer. We heard Carl Edwards talking about how the car, when it set down getting in the corner, it wanted to make a left on its own. And that's not what you want a race car to do. So these guys are going to make this change on pit road.
All right, let's take a look at our ESPN Chevy Dish Tech Center with Tim Brewer. Tim, what are they doing?
It's real simple, Marty. It's kind of bold, but we're going to show you exactly what they're doing. See where the center pivot point is on this tie rod? This is actually a drag link. Now what they're doing, this slug right here, as you come back up, this is a 0 slug. You can put the tie rod in right in the center of that modification right here, about 1 1/8 inch. You can move this thing. You can come over here and put a 5/8 drop in it and put it down literally over half that distance. What they're trying to do is change the toe in. As the car goes down the corner, as it travels, the wheel will toe out or in. A lot of guys get really precise. There's only towing out about 10,000. If that car's that loose getting down the corner, they're trying to get it to toe out more to establish the footprint to make the car tighten up, get down the corner.
Tim, you just got to believe they're going to take that inner pivot point and raise it up so that car is going to toe out more. If you tow a car in, it's going to be unstable on entry. So probably took that thing, Andy, and raised it all the way up, I would think, to try to give more stability.
Well, that's the direction you need to go with the comments that you're hearing from Carl. What you really want to do, though, you want that car, you don't want it to do anything. You want the driver to tell it to turn. You don't want the car to do it itself.
Now, Tim, what I'm worried about, if they move that slug up, they probably don't have the the toe out adjusted correctly right now because of this big change. Could happen.
Well, I tell you, Rusty, they should go back, put the car on the ground, get the string out, and realign it. But the trick there is, if they try to change this as a maneuver to make the car better, they've already done their movement on the tie rod end and know exactly where to set the tie rod end back when they move the bump slug.
All right. I tell you what, though, guys, this is a direct reflection of not being able to practice in this car, trying to do double duty, not even in the car at all. If Carl would have drove this car and practiced it, he would have known what it was doing. So why is Carl Edwards not performing good, doesn't have the mojo, out of the zone, this type of stuff?
Well, he managed to stay on the lead lap, believe it or not, 2 pit stops. Let's go back to 2005, show you one of Carl's brighter moments. He is the only man in 8 nationwide races, this is our 8th time here, to win from the pole. He did it in 2005. Let's take a look at what's happened after 15 races this year compared to last year. And oh, what a difference a year makes.
Well, he sure has lost a lot of momentum, and we heard him in the pre-race talking about how it's almost embarrassing that they haven't won a race in the Nationwide Series after having so much success in the Cup Series. I know these guys are working hard on it, and they're not done tonight. These guys are still working on the race car. That's a long way to go. Don't count him out yet.
No, I really expect them to get their, get the rhythm back when they start running the companion races again, where we can practice this car and feed back and forth. But man, it's a lot to expect out of these guys to fly clear across their country and work on it.
All right, you see Carl, he has managed, as we said, to stay out on the lead lap. He is in 34th. How about let's check in with some of our other double-duty drivers. Clint Boyer has moved up 10 spots now. He is running in 15th. But right behind him, in his mirrors, is guess who? Kyle Busch, who is now running in 16th.
And he's not done yet, I guarantee you. Here we go.
The 70,000 are on their feet again as we're back to green flag racing. Lap 18 of 200. Logano's got some pressure and they've got to pass up front.
Keller's going after him right here. He gets him cleared in turn 1.
Boy, Keller did a great job in the restart. Came for that gearbox, caught Joey Logano sleeping on that restart, and blew right past him down into turn 1.
This is pretty incredible what Jason Keller's been able to do here, because this is not a big team. He's going up against a giant when you're talking about the Gibbs cars right here. They're doing an outstanding job. Overachievers for sure.
You got to remember one thing. Now, Keller's got some good sponsorship in this car. They went from not having anything to a 6-year deal with this incredible pizza company. So that money, that makes race cars run fast also.
You see the sparks flying out from under Joey Logano's car. That's because these cars are really probably low on air, going in that corner, and they hit these bumps. You'll probably see that air pressure come up and a little less sparks, but that's they're hitting pretty hard. Mike, what's going on with that 20?
Well, you're right on the mark there, Andy. That's exactly what's happening. They're bottoming out. You know, I talked to him during qualifying, asked him about practice this morning, and asked him about what changes he made. He said they changed everything you can think of on this race car, and already you can understand why. Let's listen in on his radio.
Pretty freaking bad, setting me up the racetrack. When I get into the banking, I hit. It sets me up the only through 1 and 2. It doesn't hit through 3 and 4. Where you see it is only place. Something pretty solid. It ain't the balance. Oh no, it's metal. Left side or right side? It's coming out the left rear like it might be the trailing arm mount. It's something in the front.
And you can hear the poise in his voice, and you can understand why. Talking with his crew chief, Dave Rogers, earlier this week, he said the one thing that really impresses him the most about Joey Logano is his feel for the race car. He's able to really translate back to the team exactly what the car's doing, and you can hear that that's what he was doing right there.
So we'll keep an eye on that and see if that develops into a bigger issue for Joey and the 20 team. Meanwhile, for Jason Keller, this is the first laps he's led all year since Mexico, when he led just 1 lap there. Let's get more on Jason from Jamie Little.
Well, Joey Logano didn't just get passed by a veteran. He got passed by the man with the most starts in the Nationwide Series, Jason Keller. This team is just ecstatic right now, high-fiving each other. They showed up here. This is the first time CJM has ever been at this racetrack. This team showed up with a fast race car. Jason was disappointed after qualifying today. He thought he had the car for the pole. He left a little bit out there, but guys, he's making up for it right now as he leads this race.
All right, and as quickly as we have talked about that, remember last time we told you that Kyle was in 16th? Wrong. He's now up to 6, guys.
He's coming, boys, I'm telling you. So he needs to, Jason Keller and those guys need to enjoy it while they've got it, because this guy's coming.
Man, there is just absolutely no doubt about that. I mean, this guy has got this car handling good, and Shannon, I don't know if it looks as good down there as it does up here, but this cat's got it going on right now.
Well, Rusty, as you can imagine, the one word you're hearing over the radio on that 18 radio is clear. Kyle Busch certainly making his way through the field. Right now, he's telling his crew chief, Jason Radcliffe, that the car is about a 5 tight center off. So expect some changes on that 18 car when they bring it down for their first pit stop.
Well, if they make it any better, it's just going to lap the field. Take a look at the points right now, because now Kyle has moved into 2nd after coming back through the field and has bumped Brad Keselowski's also picked up a couple of spots. David Rudiman has dropped a couple. Of course, it's still early in the race. Take a look at this. It's a battle for 3rd. Marcus Ambrose underneath the 64 David Stremme. And as they cross the stripe, can he get the job done? Marcus in the STP colors.
That's good to see those STP colors again. That's just an amazing color. Vince, I'll tell you what, I remember those days when Petty was winning. That car looks good out there.
Yeah, and I talked to Marcus before the race. We were standing next to the car, and he looked at it, and he said, boy, doesn't that car look good. He says it reminds you definitely of Richard Petty. You can't look at that STP car and not think of the King. He said, don't want to take anything away from him by running this scheme here tonight. It's the first of 5 times that they'll run it, but they're trying to give the brand a little more exposure, and certainly able to do that. Ambrose says he feels like this could be a breakout night for this team. It's been a disappointing season on the whole, but he says they're coming, and we're seeing a little bit of that tonight.
Seems like that paint scheme's just got him walking tall. Got a lot of confidence. This is one of the best races I've seen him run all year.
Everybody's got their good races, Andy, and so far this is Marcus's right now. He's qualified well. He looks strong. He's got some staying power. A lot of these guys that qualify good, you see him fade back, but he's hanging up front and going to the front. So car's he's handling real well right now.
All right, let's take a look at Jason Keller up front. You got Joey Logano 2nd, Marcus Ampro 3rd, and then Kyle Busch is now up to 4th. He's bumped Stremme back to 5th. That's your top 5, and we aren't past anywhere near the quarter mark of this race, and he's on the move.
The Meijer 300 presented by Oreo for the NASCAR Nationwide Series from Kentucky Speedway tonight. Early in the going now, 31 of 200 laps complete. 2 leaders so far. Joey Logano led the first 17 laps. Then Jason Keller in that 11 car got the jump on a restart.
It is so good to see Jason Keller back up front. He has made this a career series. He got back in last year. He's got incredible pizza going for throughout the season with him as a sponsor. So it's good to see Jason running back up front again.
A couple other stories. Kyle Busch starting last. He is up to 3rd place now in that 18 car, having not had a single lap of practice in that machine before climbing aboard to start the race.
Kyle Busch has passed 32 race cars.
It's unbelievable, isn't it? I mean, look at that. Unbelievable. And I'm sure the guys in front of him know he's on the way quickly. Of course, it was Jeremy Clements, young driver out of South Carolina, that did the practice and qualifying in that car to give Kyle Busch that baseline he needed for tonight.
Yeah, Jeremy did a great job. He actually qualified the car 7th. So he's a good little shoe, gave him a good baseline. And I tell you, Kyle's putting his foot all the way up in. Then that old Toyota, it's humming.
And I know Andy Petrie upstairs is a big Jeremy Clements fan, too. Want to give him a little love there, Mr. Petrie?
Yeah, he's done a great job, Alan, getting his car set up. It's coming to the front. And he gave up a little bit in qualifying just so they would have a better race car. He said that they freed it up a little bit, but yeah, it hurt him a little bit in his qualifying effort, but it sure does look good right now.
A good solid setup Jeremy did for Kyle Busch, and that car is glued to the track. Andy, it seems like every time they unload this 18 or 20, they hardly do anything to it. It's got incredible horsepower, and it's always nose down, back up, and handling perfect.
Yeah, this is one of the things that the Gibbs guys do real well is they know what they have when they get here. And Shannon, you got a young driver that helped them get there.
That's right. You got to give a lot of credit to Jeremy Clements. He is the one, as you said, who has been in that car all weekend. What did you say to Kyle before the race started, just to get him prepared for getting behind the wheel of that car?
I told him it was pretty free in qualifying, and it was going to be good when they untaped it for the race. And man, he shot up the front. I told him, I said, unless you wreck, you'll win this race. No doubt in my mind, the car's that good. And he's already up to 3rd, so I'm glad I had a hand in this. And the Farm Bureau Toyota is running good. And it's good for the guys, and just excited to be here.
Well, Jeremy Clements, I'm sure, has a spot as Kyle Busch's practice driver whenever he wants one, guys.
All right, thanks for the update.
That's one kid that really deserves a break.
Take a look as we got a lot more action. Kyle Busch is closing down on Joey Logano for 2nd place. The 4 car is lap traffic. That's Derek Cope. He's cleared easily.
Kyle Busch is getting ready to say, I got the same car you do, Joey. Let me show you how I do this now. Just follow me. And I tell you, Joey can learn a lot through Kyle. Once Kyle gets around him, it looks like that's going to happen pretty soon.
The one thing I've seen now that Kyle's gotten to this point, he's been pretty patient. He saw he had a car that's really capable of winning this thing. He's taking care of it. He's picking and choosing his spots where he's making these passes.
Looking underneath, boy, he can just hug that bottom lane. And take a look at the biggest movers. Well, of course, Kyle started 35th. Remember, a whole gaggle of cars went to the rear because of a number of reasons. Here he's gotten around Logano now, so he's now up 33 spots. Kevin LePage and Stanton Barrett also on the move. Shannon?
Yeah, Marty, under that last caution, Kyle Busch asked his crew chief, Jason Radcliffe, how's the 20? He knows that number 20 car is another Joe Gibbs Racing and is one of the cars that he has to beat on the track. And good news for Kyle Busch is that is a Joe Gibbs Racing car. So when he asked how the setup was and how the car was driving, they told him. Mike?
Well, Shannon, I had an opportunity to speak with Joey Logano earlier this weekend to ask him about what he learned in the first 2 races in the Nationwide Series. A big smile came over his face, and he started to laugh. He said he's learned more in the last 2 races than he's learned at any other stage in his career. In particular, how to adjust to the racetrack, how to set up the car for the beginning of the race so it finishes. And here's a pass possibly for the lead as Jason Keller bears down on the 18 car. We'll get back to the Logano story shortly.
And yes, Kyle Busch, ladies and gentlemen, has only taken 40 of the 200 necessary laps to win this race to move into the lead.
I don't know, I've seen that in a long time, and that's an incredible piece of driving right there. You got to have a good handling car and a good prepared car, and Gibbs has done a great job for Kyle. This 18 is just amazing me tonight, guys.
Kyle's 4 wins, 2 of them in this 18 car, 1 in the 20 car, and then 1 for Braun Racing in the 32 car.
Well, that tells me he can win in anything. He's been on fire in the Truck Series and the Cup Series also. He's just something else.
I got to be honest, I think we could put him in a go-kart out there with these guys. He could probably win.
Tell you what, man, I watch him go down into turn 1, and look how the left front just hugs right on the bottom. The left front wheel is pulling that car around. and it turns so good. You saw him pass his teammate, Joey Logano, right on the bottom. Joey didn't look like he could hold the bottom near as good as Kyle could. This car, it's in its zone. This car is in its zone.
Well, it's been another busy day for Kyle Busch. This was earlier this afternoon up in Michigan at the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race. Late in the go, he gets into Ron Hornaday. Hornaday didn't like it. Kevin Harvick also got into that. Some words were exchanged. Then Kyle made the 300-mile trip. Started 35th. There he was behind Eric McClure in the 24. And then we move up to lap 39 when Jason Keller became the last of 34 victims to fall as Kyle Busch takes the lead here at Kentucky Speedway. Of course, he won back here at age 19 back in 2003. Started dead last that year, and we haven't been able to track how many laps it took him to get to the front, but I think it was more than the 40 that it took tonight.
Well, that car's on a rail.
No, I'll guarantee there's a lot of teams trying to figure out what in the world they're doing to make that car do what it does. But it's not only the 18, it is the 20. You see Logano right there. And look who's sneaking in the picture there, Jason Leffler.
Yeah, watching the lap times, he's had a pretty fast car. Actually running as fast as Kyle Busch has been running in the 18 the last few laps.
That is second, third, and fourth in your pictures. Jason Keller in front of Joey Logano and Jason Leffler. And here goes Logano to the high side, and it looks like he's going to take the position away, heading down the backstretch into 3. And he's got it. And here comes Leffler following along. Jamie, you got more on the 38?
Yeah, Jason Leffler really happy with this car. He said, guys, just get me to the front in clean air. This car is going to check out. We can run with the leaders. That's exactly what he's trying to do. Said the car is pretty good other than a little bit of chatter. They're looking to come in within the next 10 laps, which seems to be the pit window for everybody at this point, guys.
Well, so Jason Leffler on the march as well, but does anybody have anything for Kyle Busch? We'll have to wait and find out. Kyle has a 2.5-second lead. Let's get an update on Carl Edwards. Mike Massaro, he's mired in 24th.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. He says the car is a little bit better since making that bump slug change on the right front. However, it's still a little bit loose and still jerking. Expect a wedge adjustment on this car next time down pit road, guys.
All right, let's also give you an update. Kenny Wallace is back out, although he is 31 laps down. And here we go. First man to blink as far as pit stops under green is Jason Leffler. Jamie?
He told the team, just don't make a major adjustment. The car is pretty good. It's really good in clean air, as I said. A little tight in traffic. Jason Leffler, guys, was going to try to qualify for that Cup race, but of course qualifying was rained out, so he's putting all of his effort right here tonight, looking for his first win of the season. Right sides, left sides, and Jason Leffler is going to be down and away.
So the first of our lead pack cars to make a pit stop as we're working lap 53 of 200. Kyle Busch, meanwhile, has now opened up a 3-second lead as he is getting ready to go around Stanton Barrett, who is in 26. So that would mean 25 cars on the lead lap once he gets around. Take a look at the battle for 6th place right now. You've got Scott Wimmer and David Stremme, and Wimmer's going underneath him.
These guys still racing hard. They know they're coming to a green flag stop, and I'm sure they want to get as many spots as they can before they do that.
And right now, guys, the track has cooled down a lot. It's almost completely dark here in Kentucky right now, and the track is making a big change. So I really think this next 4-tire stop, they're going to make some adjustments and start chasing this new track right now.
Stremme gets held up by the lap traffic of the 52, and that's Brad Teague, so that's going to cost him a little bit. Allows Wimmer to get about 3 cars on him. And we're getting word that a race leader is pulling into pit lane, and here comes Kyle Busch, and he's heading your way, Shannon Spake.
Well, Marty, 39 laps to get that lead, and he wants to keep it. You see the guys up on the wall. Those are Cup guys that are going over the wall. Guys from the 18 and the 11. Kyle Busch saying he's a little bit tight. They're going to go up 1 round on that track bar, make a left rear air pressure adjustment, 4 tires, and Sunoco fuel for Kyle Busch. Your race leader, he's down and away, guys.
A little problem there on the left front tire changer falling over, but no harm, no foul. And there is Brian Clausen. Clausen was running in the top 10 as well, guys, when he made this stop.
Yeah, he had a good car, too. He was coming to the front. His lap times were very good in that long run we had.
I'll tell you right now, the rest of these guys are going to have to get down pit road pretty quick, because Kyle Busch, with those new tires, as fast as he's going to fly through these field on these new tires. And if everybody else stays out, they're going to lose so much track time in these older tires. The only thing they can hope right now is a caution flag comes out so they don't lose a lot on them.
Of course, right now, new leader, of course, Joey Logano, as he is inherited. He is still back out. You're on board with Scott Wimmer, who is in 4th, looking back towards David Stremme. Got word now that Jason Keller is coming in. There he is in the incredible pizza machine, and he's heading towards Jamie Little.
What a run Jason Keller has had. You know, the sun's gone down. It's tightening up out there, getting a little cooler, so he just wants to free up his car. He's going to take 4 tires, fill her up with Sunoco fuel. Worst he's run tonight is 2nd. Guys, Shannon?
Yeah, David Reagan coming off a 5th place finish last week in Nashville, saying that the car is a little tight through the center and he's bouncing a little bit as those guys go to work on that car. David Reagan is out of the pit stall, guys.
And as he pulls out, here comes Joey Logano in the number 20 car. So Marcus Ambrose is now the race leader. Mike Massaro, he's heading your way.
And Dave Rogers coaching him down pit lane, saying 3,800 RPMs in 2nd gear. Team waiting to go to work on the car. They're going to try to free him up a little bit, saying it's just a little bit tight. You also heard him say earlier that he was bottoming out. No major changes, a little bit of an adjustment on the chassis. You see the wrench go in as the tire changers go to work now on the left side. A little tardy on the back of that race car. That may slow them up just a little bit, but otherwise a pretty clean stop for the 20. Jamie?
David Stremme to 64, another top 5 run so far tonight. He wants 4 tires, of course, freed up just a little bit. Again, they don't want to make any major adjustments. They did make a little bit of a track bar adjustment. He's down and away. Meanwhile, the 2 of Clint Boyer not having a terrible night. I think he got a little irked when he saw that Kyle Busch was coming up on him so early in the race, but Clint Boyer working with that car. Again, one of those double-duty drivers, didn't have a whole lot of time until qualifying to get behind the wheel. You see our onboard camera right there giving us a great shot, taking you in the driver's seat, actually the crew seat. A little bit long of a stop for Clint Boyer. 4 tires, fuel for him, and he's down and away. Guys, Vince?
Landon Castle coming in the number 5 machine, the National Guard car. 4 tire stop. They are going to make an air pressure adjustment. They've been cautioning him throughout the course of the race. David Green, his spotter, to protect the outside and give some room in the front to make the car get through the air better. Mike?
Rough week for the 33 team, trying to recover from a disappointing run in Nashville. Car just a little bit tight. They'll make a chassis adjustment, a 4-tire change, and Sunoco race fuel on the 33 car. Meanwhile, the 29 car heading down pit road as well. That's Scott Wimmer. He's saying the car is almost the way he likes it, just a little bit loose. Expected air pressure adjustment, maybe a chassis adjustment, 4-tire change, and Sunoco race fuel on the 29 car now as they go to work on the right side of that car. Wimmer pretty happy, very confident coming into this race. Looks at it a lot like he looked at Nashville earlier this year as an opportunity to get to victory lane. He feels like he's got a pretty good race car, although 1.5 miles have not been their strength this year. Vince?
Marcus Ambrose coming in for his first stop. He was leading the race when he came in. Gary Cogswell going to make just 1 slight tire pressure adjustment, and that's it. The 4 tires and the Sunoco fuel. Ambrose likes his car so far. Mike?
Brad Keselowski headed down pit road as well. He's saying his car is just a little bit too free. A 4-tire stop, also a chassis adjustment on that race car. Interesting comment Keselowski made earlier this week. The win has done 2 things. It's erased pressure of getting that first win, but also added some pressure. Now people expect him to win almost every week. He's away.
And the one thing we learned out of that whole cycle of pit stops is Brad Keselowski and Marcus Ambrose got better fuel mileage than everybody else in the top 15.
They pushed it out to about 61 laps. That was actually farther than we thought that anybody could go. But that'll be interesting as we get down to the end of the race.
Yeah, lock that away in the old vault because that may be important. Take a look at Josh Wise because right now he is the race leader. He too has yet to make a stop.
Well, he did. He made a pit stop under that earlier caution at 14 laps, so he can run just a little bit longer than some of these guys, but he'll be in pretty quick.
Good catch, Ed. You're absolutely right. Here's the 60 of Carl Edwards, Mike.
Yeah, and they've been battling that race car all evening long. Extremely loose. He said on the radio not too long ago on a scale of 1 to 10, it's a 3 loose. They made that wedge adjustment as we called earlier on. Also a 4-tire change on this car, but still Carl far from happy with that race car. He's away in 16.1 seconds.
And as he gets back out, we'll wait to see who's cycling through, and Stephen Wallace is still yet to pit. He pitted back on lap 14. There he is in the 66, and now he finally peels off and will bring it down pit lane. So all this happening under green flag, guys.
Yeah, you don't want to run too many laps out there on old tires while these other guys have new tires. You'll lose too much time. Here comes Stephen Wallace to his pit stop.
We're going to ride on board with the crew cam. Here's the sights and sounds of the pit stop. And that was Ben Steger. He is the rear tire carrier, and Ben was on Stephen Light's crew last year, and they won this race. Maybe he'll go 2 for 2. That wouldn't disappoint you, would it?
That wouldn't bother me a bit. You know, I'm just, I think the thing I'm concerned about right now, Andy, is these guys stayed out so long in old tires. When Kyle Busch hit pit road with those new tires, man, he's killing them right now, those tires.
Kyle Busch is now back in command of this race. The cycle of pit stops completed just a moment ago when Josh Wise, David Ruderman, and Stanton Barrett hit the pit lane at laps 68, 70, and 71, respectively. Kyle Busch's lead before the pit stops, 2.7 seconds. It is 6.9 seconds over second place right now. Let's go up to speed with Nationwide Insurance, starting with the leader. Shannon, what you got to tell us about Kyle Busch?
Well, Alan, it's been about 17 laps since he brought that car down pit road. He was complaining that the car was a little bit tight, so they did make a track bar adjustment and an air pressure adjustment. So what is Kyle Busch saying about the car right now? Quote, pretty darn good. Mike?
Well, Shannon, a little bit earlier in the broadcast, we talked a little bit about Joey Logano's learning curve and what he's learned. Well, the most valuable lesson came a week ago. He learned when to push it and when not to push it. Expect to see a much more patient Joey Logano tonight, as we've already seen. The car's still pretty loose. Jamie?
Behind him, Jason Leffler has a fast race car. I asked him about running the Cup race last weekend and what it was like to go back and do double duty. He said, Jamie, it was a mistake to go run Cup. He said, these guys in Nationwide, they need me. My team needs me here to practice, to put the time in, and it paid off. This morning he was here for practice. They got this car right, and tonight he's been running top 5. Right now currently sits 3rd. Right behind him, Jason Keller. You got to root for this guy. What a story. He's had a fast, quick car all weekend. Like I said, he thought he had enough to get the pole, but they've been working away, had a pretty quick pit stop, and they're plugging away. Actually, the team told me they were going to remove that engine, put a backup engine in during practice this morning because it was sputtering on the backstretch, but they ended up just looking at the fuel hose, replacing it. All was well. Thank goodness. Vince?
Well, and right behind Jason Keller, Jamie, is the 59 of Marcus Ambrose, sporting that STP scheme for the first time in 5 races this season. He's happy with his race car, says it's a little bit loose in, but Gary Cogswell, the crew chief, updating him on his lap times, telling Ambrose, you're gaining on Keller ahead of you. Be patient, but don't hesitate. Mike?
Vince, it's been a big week for Brad Keselowski, of course, winning in Nashville. Said, though, he kind of jokes that doesn't know what to do with that trophy, whether to hang it on his wall or play it. Of course, it's a guitar. What he's doing right now is playing his cards right, running in the top 10. Very confident, very good race car, although he says it's just a little bit on the free side.
All right, so there are your top 6. Remember the other night we were talking about the big lead the Lakers had, and the Celtics won. Well, Kyle Busch is playing the role of the Lakers right now.
Well, I don't know.
I don't mean about the losing the lead, but I mean he's got a massive lead before halfway, but you stay with it because you never know what can happen.
That's exactly right now. I mean, he could have something go wrong mechanically. He could have a tire issue. Hopefully that won't happen. But right now, this kid has brought a hammer to a pillow fight.
7-second lead.
Back here at the Nationwide Series race at the Kentucky Speedway, our 3rd caution for debris has just come out, and everybody seems to be taking. We'll set it up for our Castrol GTX triple pits. And there's Kyle, Marcus, and Jason. Shannon, you're up.
Yeah, Kyle Busch, your race leader, pulls that car in. He's saying he's still a little bit tight, just about a 4 tight. So they're going to take half a pound out of both fronts and half a pound up on that track bar. Vin?
Marcus Ambrose has been up in the front tonight, but he's been consistently in the top 5. He says the car is just too loose going in. They're going to change all 4 tires, fill it up with fuel. Jamie?
Jason Leffler said his car was the tightest it's been all night, but his lap times kept getting better. So go figure. They went 2 rounds up on that track bar, 4 tires and fuel. Mike?
A sign of a good race car driver is one who likes a free race car, and that's exactly what Joey Logano wants. They're going to free him up once more around a wedge and also some air pressure adjustments.
We are in the bluegrass state of Kentucky, and it has been an eventful evening to say the least. The grandstands, they may look empty there. They've jammed tonight. Over 70,000 people here on Flag Day as you're on board with Scott Wimmer. We found out Scott did not take tires He pitted 21 laps earlier, decided to take fuel only for track position, but right behind him is Kyle Busch with 4 fresh Goodyears, and I have a feeling that he is about going to eat him alive. Now, we also got to tell you who got the lucky dog for the first time tonight. It will be awarded to Brad Coleman as he gets the free pass, and that gives us a total of 16 cars on the lead lap. So how fast do you think that the 18 will eat up our leader in the 29?
I don't think it's going to take too long.
Well, it won't take too long, but they're just going for track position. And right now, the 66 car's got no tires either, and neither does the 29. They're lining up to try to get the lucky dog on the inside. See Steven on the bottom, Kelly Byers behind him. Now, there's no doubt that Kyle Busch has got the best shot right here, but we'll see what happens with these 2 guys in the front with no tires.
All right, it's Wimmer, Kyle Busch, Logano, Leffler, and Brad Keselowski, and there's the 70,000 waving their American flags, and we're back to green. Well, it didn't take much more than 2 turns.
Yeah, 1 and 2, and he's got him cleared right here, getting into 3.
You know, I drove down, when the 29 car Wimmer drove down in there, he had to get out of the throttle just a little bit. And those 4 new tires on Kyle Busch's car, he never lifted, drove right around him and went on.
See the 20 car, Joey Logano, still bottoming out a little bit, especially on these cold tires.
Think about this. You got Joe Gibbs Racing as you're on board with 3rd place. Scott Wimmer, he's looking up ahead at the 2 JGR cars. They have 9 wins, 7 of the last 9 races. They have just been dominating.
You know, Kyle Busch did blow around Scott Wimmer pretty easily, but Scott Wimmer's staying pretty close to him right here.
Hey, Wimmer's doing pretty good right now on those old tires. I mean, as soon as the temperature comes back up on them, Andy, and they kind of get the rhythm back, so to speak, these tires. And those tires are pretty moody, you know. I mean, you know, once you get that old debris off the tires and the temperatures come back, sometimes they don't perform that bad.
Another note on Joe Gibbs Racing. Kyle has led 25% of all the laps this year running the series. The team, they are approaching 50%. Take a look. The battle for 7th is heating up. Whoa, looked like the 11 got a little loose. Boyer almost came up and stacked up behind him. Here comes the 99 into that mix. David Reagan in the 6 car. You're on board with Ruderman.
And boy, when you got those fresh tires in your cars, guys, you just got to go for it, get everything you can, because after about 10 laps, they're going to stabilize. And that real sticky, that real grippy feel that you have is going to go away. So they want to get it now.
Let's go back to the battle for the lead because Joey Logano is closing in on his very fast teammate.
Still got a lot of sparks flying out from under that car, but it's fast.
Take a look a little bit further back. That's the number 2, Clint Boyer. And Jamie, you've got more on Clint.
Clint Boyer's thinking big picture. He's leading this series championship right now, but he's also worried about getting to the front. Heck of a job so far tonight. He started 25th, wasn't happy with the car. That last pit stop that came in, lap 81, made an air pressure adjustment, a spring rubber, put in that right rear, and he said he's still tight through the middle, guys, but he's gaining as he goes side by side. Mike?
Well, Jamie, you saw the sparks coming out from underneath the 20 car. That's been a chronic problem throughout the night for Joey Logano, but they're kind of making light of it. Over the radio not too long ago, Dave Rogers told them, well, once the air pressures come up, that'll go away, and it'll also solve another problem. It'll grind away whatever you're bottoming out. And then he kind of paused and said, gee, I hope it's not something important. Shannon?
Yeah, Mike, as you see Kyle Busch and Joey Logano battling for that first place. Jason Ratcliffe, I spoke to him, and although the 18 and the 20, they're very different teams, these 2 teams have a total open door policy. Jason Ratcliffe told me he thinks that they work closer than any other team in the garage. They share notes after practice, and Jason Ratcliffe told me when he comes to the racetrack every week, he feels the one team that they have to beat out on that track is the 20 team.
Don't forget about next week, the Nationwide Series is going to move northwest 425 miles to the Milwaukee Mile. 16 different winners in 17 Milwaukee races. Greg Biffle, the only driver to win more than once. That was in 01 and 02. That's next Saturday night. Coverage begins 8 Eastern. Take a look at, whoa, a little twitch there from Stephen Wallace as he was on the high side in the 66 going around Kelly Byers.
Well, these 2 are racing for the lucky dog right now, and they have been side by side for the last 5 to 10 laps. I mean, something's got to give here pretty soon.
Yeah, they got some lead lap cars that are bearing down on this group. So you got to sort this thing out pretty quick or somebody's going to get moved.
Yeah, that 59 of Marcus Ambrose is 9th place. Mike Wallace, he's also in that mix. Wallace is now taking over the 9th position. Ambrose is up to 8th. While all this is going on, let's reset the top 5 for you, and just in case you're tuning in, it's Kyle Busch up front with Joey Logano. 3rd is Scott Wimmer. Jason Leffler is 4th. David Stremme is 5th. Brad Keselowski is now 6th. Clint Boyer is 7th. Marcus Ambrose 8th. Mike Wallace 9th. And David Reagan is 10th. So now you're up to date there. Total of 16 cars on the lead lap, guys.
Tell you what, I'm looking at 3rd place on Backfar's time. They're all running 31.60s and 31.80s, and Kyle Busch is running 31.20s. That's right, 31.20s. I cannot believe how fast this Toyota's running down the straightaways and through the corners. Just amazing.
All these Toyotas are fast tonight. Mike Wallace is having a great race. Whoa, you see him getting a little bit here. He got a split a car, a slow car.
Slow car. Inside. Clear.
But Mike Wallace is bearing down now on Marcus Ambrose up ahead in this group.
You got some cars out there with no tires and some with 4 tires, Andy, and it's just it's causing them all to stack up right now. Kelly Byers, Stephen Wallace, Wimmer, they don't have tires. The rest of them got new tires. It's a big difference between new and none. Shannon?
Yeah, Mike Wallace coming off his season best finish last week at Nashville. That, of course, was 6th. This team has really come together this season. They had great pit stops last week. They're very happy with their cars, and they're just happy all around. That's the word that they use. They use the word fun to describe how this season is. Mike Wallace, right now, he was battling tight conditions earlier in the race. They brought it down pit road. Mike Wallace is good right now, guys.
And we're at the halfway mark with 100 down, 100 to go, as it is still the Joe Gibbs Racing duo of Busch and Logano up front by 6.5 seconds over Scott Wimmer. And, of course, it is Father's Day as we take a look at the race leader, Kyle Busch. And we talked to some of the racers about their dads. What's the best advice Dad ever gave them?
The best advice my father's ever given me is to never give up. When you're in the race car, you all weigh the same. You know, don't take anything from anyone.
He just told me nicely, you gotta think. It's all about thinking.
Growing up, he always told me, be honest with me, you get whatever you want. So, I don't know if that's advice, but that was more like a rule.
ESPN's live coverage of the NASCAR Nationwide Series from the Kentucky Speedway, where we are just past halfway in tonight's 300-mile race. Kyle Busch and Joey Logano in the Joe Gibbs Racing Toyotas are the front 2. Our Holiday Inn Express race summary. Here's really what you need to know about this race tonight. Kyle Busch started last without ever having turned a lap in this car before the green flag wave tonight. It took him about 40 laps to get to the lead, period.
It's unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable, Alan. And I think the only thing that's going to deter or slow down Kyle Busch is obviously trying to weave through lap traffic and a series of pit stops. That's going to be the only way that any of these guys who are running 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th are going to be able to gain on him. It will be on pit road.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Things have happened to him in the end of races.
No doubt about that. Don't want to jinx him.
When he looked like he had a shot. This Kentucky Speedway has been in the news throughout the last year or so where NASCAR racing is concerned. This beautiful speedway built partway between Cincinnati and Louisville on I-71 in Kentucky. They fill it up every time they run one of these Nationwide Series races or a Craftsman Truck Series race. Look at the crowd here tonight.
These people love it.
And, of course, it was about a month ago down in Charlotte when Bruton Smith, the chairman of Speedway Motorsports, announced that his company had entered into an agreement to purchase this Kentucky Speedway, and he said at that time the track would have a Sprint Cup Series race in 2009. Well, NASCAR says that's probably not going to happen. Bruton Smith is here at the racetrack today. In a visit to the Speedway's media center earlier, said the sale is progressing. Nothing new to report on where this track stands as far as securing a cup date was concerned. It also said he wanted the lawsuit the current owners of this track filed against NASCAR to go away. Remember, the track owners, present track owners, filed an antitrust lawsuit against NASCAR, which was dismissed from district court here in this area. The track's trying to get that reinstated. Bruton said he thought it might help in getting a cup date here if that lawsuit went away.
It's very interesting. Obviously, NASCAR stepped up and said, no, they will not have a date in 2009. The first opportunity probably be 2010. So Bruton's a very, very shrewd businessman. He's obviously playing some angle to try to make things happen, but this is a wonderful facility. We came in the gates today, Alan. There is a ton of people at this race, and they are starving for racing in this region, and this is great to see tonight. I mean, we got 70,000 people here watching a great nationwide race.
Don't know where the race is going to come from, don't know how it's all going to play out, but we do know this. Every time they throw the gates open, they fill it up. We've just been told record attendance tonight of 73,000 plus for the Nationwide Series race in Kentucky. Kyle Busch is leading, 88 laps to go. We're coming back in just a minute.
And there he is right now, leading by about 1.3 seconds over his Toyota teammate Joey Logano. Another Toyota is third with Jason Leffler. Mike Wallace. How about James Buescher? 18 years old. We haven't shouted out him yet tonight. He's running 13th. He is on the lead lap. We've got 15 cars on the lead lap. David Rudiman 1 lap down in 17th. Want to talk a little horsepower?
I tell you, they got horsepower. There's no doubt about that. I mean, there's been a lot of teams talking about how much horsepower the Toyota's got. I know a lot of other teams are talking about, I wish they start chassis dyno on the engines again to find out what these Toyotas really have. Andy, they used to do that a lot, and they kind of stopped doing that. And I believe it's probably going to start back up because a lot of people want to know how strong are these Toyota engines compared to the rest of the field right now. Vince?
Well, Rusty, certainly Trent Owens, who is the crew chief for this 32 car, and James Buescher, the 18-year-old rookie, knows a little something about it. Remember, he had Kyle Busch in the car that went to victory lane in that 32 a few weeks back. He's not going to get the victory lane with Buescher tonight, but Owens is very happy with the way his young driver is handling his first trip here to Kentucky Speedway. He's raced just once in the Nationwide Series all season, and this is his first trip to Kentucky. He'll have 4 more races after this one, but they certainly like the effort and the performance and the poise that Buescher has shown in the 32, and you can see he's got a little power as he works on Kelly Byers there from Toyota as well.
Well, I saw a bit of his race up at Milwaukee in the ARCA. He started 40th and ended up 7th in that race, so James Buescher doing very well. Speaking about doing very well, there is Kyle Busch, and we are talking about Toyota power, and obviously Joe Gibbs Racing has been dominating. They are leading this race 1-2. And also Jack Roush has a bit of an opinion, as of course he is of the Ford contingent. Jack had some comments on that power situation.
Near dominance of the Toyota nationwide cars coming out of Gibbs' shop. If you looked at that and said, how did they do that? Well, you know, Toyota has spent more money than I have with Ford, and I believe General Motors has with Chevrolet, and probably Dodge has. They've spent more money because they've got more money they're willing to spend. They've worked harder. They've had more engineers involved. They've built more test engines. They've had run more test miles probably than the rest of us. And to that end, you say that that effort and that expenditure deserves that result.
So as you dissect what he's saying, some people would say, okay, he's just crying sour grapes because he's not getting enough money, but isn't it always cubic dollars equals cubic horsepower in this business?
Well, I don't think that was sour grapes at all. I think he's
I don't either. I'm saying some
these
people
guys have really worked hard to get this package and make it work for them in both series, and they're doing well with it. General Motors has also got a new engine in the Cup Series, in the Sprint Cup Series, that they're not allowed to run in this series. Whereas Toyota runs, their Cup engine is basically the same basic package as this the Nationwide Series engine. So I think if if they're crying for a little help, General Motors could actually go to that new engine, and I think it would be a little bit better for the guys.
Well, I believe that Chevrolet could go to the R07 engine in the Nationwide Series and probably help those guys. Right now they're running the old SP2 engine, and the Cup Series are running the R07 engine. And in the Nationwide Toyota cars and the Cup cars, they're running the same engine. So I believe that's what Chevrolet and Ford wants, is a little better motor. Because generally you don't take a car like a Toyota and pull them back, you don't slow them up. Everybody else got to catch up.
Well, let's talk a little bit about this Toyota, Mike Wallace, because right now into this run, Mike is turning laps faster than the race leader. I know that may seem hard to believe, but he actually has moved up to 6th. He's running last lap at about 31.4, and our race leader was at 31.7. So Mike Wallace on the move, and he's closing in on David Stremme, and that is for 5th position.
Yeah, he's been consistently passing cars, and he's in the top 10 solidly. Look, he's moving right underneath David Stremme right here in the 64. And Shannon, he's really got this 7-car rolling.
Yeah, I told you about Mike Wallace a little earlier in the race, how this team is just having fun this season. Well, it is evident by their radio communication right now. These guys are talking back and forth. They are having a good time. Crew Chief Bruce Cook just keeps telling his driver, you are gaining on them. You are turning fast laps, and Mike Wallace says the car is good.
Yeah, he's 3/10 faster than the leader that last lap, Shannon, while you were talking. He's really got a fast hot rod.
Tell you what, he has been on a roll of late. Mike has really got the rhythm in this car. I mean, he really struggled with it last year, struggled with it early, but all of a sudden it's like you flipped a switch and he took off with good runs and good finishes. And above all, the car keeps handling good. That's one thing I noticed. Good pit stops, good handling. That's what you got to have.
Well, here at the Meijer 300, presented by Oreo, you're looking at the race leader, and that is Kyle Busch. Started 35th after having to go to the rear of the field with a bunch of other cars for, well, he didn't even make qualifying, didn't go to the driver's meeting, so that's one of the 2 reasons that he had to go to the rear. And right now he is in control of this race by 1.2 seconds over his Joe Gibbs teammates, as we have a caution coming out with 66 laps to go here at Kentucky Speedway.
Well, that caution hit just right. These guys were just getting ready to make green flag stops. We're just about at the end of that fuel window.
And we're being told by NASCAR officials that it is debris on the racetrack. So that'll bring out our 4th caution here at Kentucky.
I was just about to say, I can't believe how many laps these guys are run under non-caution. I mean, generally we have a lot of caution flags here, and pretty calm race when it comes to that right now.
Well, the record is 10. We had 9 last year, if I'm not mistaken. The fewest is 4, which we're at right now. That was set back in 2003. Of course, I probably jinxed us now after mentioning that, but
pretty good numbers, Marty. How'd you figure all that out? You got a little help there now.
I got plenty of help.
Hey, this is a good break for Brother Mike. He's moved up to 4th spot. Now he can close that gap up that these guys got on him, and he's been running faster lap times.
We were just about ready to talk about Mike. While we were in break, he managed to get around Scott Wimmer and pulled up into 4th. The Aaron's Lucky Dog will again go to Brad Coleman, as he is the first car a lap down, and there he is. So for the 2nd time tonight, Brad gets the free pass. David Ruderman was the 2nd car a lap down, and Stephen Wallace was 3rd.
Well, I'll tell you what, that makes you feel good when you get that lucky dog, get yourself back in the game. You know, I was watching Mike Wallace's car, guys, and it looks like, I mean, his car is really benefiting as his track is cooling down. As this place cools down, it's really fixing his car right up. It just really picked the speed up.
They need a good pit stop right here.
Fought all night to get the track position. Now they got that. He got to get up there real quick. Now look at his inside lane. See how much these guys got a lead on him?
All right, we got to take a look at our Castrol GTX triple pits. Shannon, you're up first.
Well, Kyle Busch saying that the car is just tightening up a little bit, so they're going to go another half round up on that track bar. His crew chief, Jason Ratcliffe, said they are going to be 5 laps short if it stays green. 4 sticker tires for Kyle Busch. Vince.
Shannon, remember the 59 car went 62 laps before making its first stop. So crew chief Gary Cogswell said we've got to get it full. They're also going to make a track bar adjustment to loose end. Jamie?
Jason Leffler was running through some of the fastest lap times of the night. He said he's chattering that right front, still a tick tight, center off, 4 tires, little track bar adjustment, and he's away. Mike?
Joey Logano's been pretty consistent all night. He wants a loose race car. They're going to take a big swing at it this time. 2 rounds of wedge. They'll put 2 pounds of pressure in the right rear and take out a pound of pressure from the left rear. He really wants it loose, guys.
Boy, take a look as Wimmer and Keselowski, and the loser, Mike Wallace, loses 6 spots coming off the race off pit road.
Tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Eastern Time, the Michigan pre-race edition of NASCAR Now. I believe Rusty Wallace is going to be there helping Nicole Mansky analyze what's going on. Get you ready for that one. NASCAR Now, the daily destination for the NASCAR fan. And then on Monday at 5:30 Eastern Time on ESPN2, our NASCAR Now Roundtable is a Wallace family edition.
Oh, man. You're going to have all them Wallace boys up there?
All of them. The panel will be Rusty Wallace, Mike Wallace, with whom we ride on board, and Kenny Wallace.
You will not get a word in edgewise. I'm telling you right now.
Kind of like having a Monday off, isn't it? All right. Middle brother Mike running in 10th after the pit stops. Big brother Rusty's upstairs with the microphone in hand. I believe he's going to play in-race reporter here, huh?
Hey, Brett Keselowski, Rusty Wallace, ESPN. You got us, buddy?
Poor Rusty.
All right, man, we were talking to you earlier. You said this old hot rod of yours around 10 o'clock when it gets real good and cool is going to take off, and it's about 10:18 right now. How close are you?
Well, my Navy crew's done a great job. Gave me another awesome pit stop. Got me up here to 4th. Hopefully I can make the most of that opportunity here. But we're gaining on it. Bottom out a little bit's our biggest thing. Well, we can get that figured out. I think we'll be real strong, but it looks like Kyle's pretty good too.
Brad, does it feel like the whole track is picking up more grip and the car is just getting quicker, or what's the balance in your car feel like right now?
Well, I try to set my cars up real loose, knowing that they'll just keep getting tighter. And it's been getting tighter, and it's been playing right into my hands.
Okay, buddy, nice talking to you, man.
Thanks, guys.
All right, this is going to get interesting because if this stays green, remember Marcus Ambrose made 61 laps. We're still under yellow, and we're going to be under yellow for a little bit longer. Can he go the distance? Well, just when we thought we were going to go back to green flag racing here at Kentucky Speedway, an incident between Carl Edwards and Stephen Wallace as Carl was trying to get around Stephen, and Carl's 2 laps down. Stephen is 1 lap down.
Yeah, he's going, hey, wait a minute now, this is my spot.
And Stephen's warming his tires up, and Carl, and like you say, Steve's 1 down and Carl's 2 down. I don't know what in the world is going on there. Look at that. Yeah, that's incredible.
Well, remember last year with 45 laps to go, it was a moment where Stephen got into Carl and ended the race for both of them. Let's take you back to that moment.
Yeah, these guys are racing for the lead right here on the restart. You see Stephen gets into the back of Carl, and it ruins really both of these guys' night.
Another look at it from there. So that's what happened last year. That was for the lead in the battle, but this was under yellow, and I'm still trying to figure out how all that came about.
It's to me like they were just arguing over space, and these guys are trying to be in position for this lucky dog. So this is real important to the guys that are 1 lap down. Carl Edwards, on the other hand, is 2 laps down. I'm not sure he actually belonged in front of these guys.
I just wonder if he thought he was only 1 lap down and got confused. Maybe that could have happened, because that's the only thing I can think of.
Of course, he does not have a lap counter inside his car like we do up here, so we'll give him the benefit of the doubt, at least for now. Question is, what does that do for Stephen Wallace's car, as you got to believe there's a potential for some damage on that right front fender.
He made pretty significant contact to the left rear of that 60.
Mike, you're with Pierre Cattell?
Yeah, and it's been a tough night for this team, no doubt. A lot of action on pit road, now some action out there with Carl. What happened?
I don't really know. We were just trying to get in our right position, and the 66 was just out there rubbing his tires. I don't know if the spotter didn't tell him we were there or what the deal was. He just ran right into us. So I don't know exactly what's happening there. I mean, I hate that we're in the position we're in. This, City Financial Ford, we've struggled all night, and we're just going to keep working on it. We go back to the shop, do our homework, and make these things better down the road.
Just made a bad night worse, Marty. This car, the 60 car, has been on pit road probably more than anybody else tonight.
Well, and right now on pit road is Stephen Wallace. Now they're going to take the opportunity to top off in fuel, pull the fender out, and put some fresh tires on.
Yeah, they're in fine shape. They're okay. It's just a little confusion on there. I really think that Carl thought he was, like I say, 1 lap down, and he's 2 laps down, and he's talking about trying to get in position or something.
Well, one thing that happened, we only caught the tail end of this. These guys were trying to get in position as they get the one to go at the start-finish line, and they start lining up. And maybe when they came across the start-finish line, Carl could have been in front of Stephen, and they ended up passing him. And, maybe Carl was just trying to get back in his rightful place. You just don't know how that all developed during that half lap.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one thing we didn't see. You're right, Andy. That could have happened. And, the race is getting late right now. 58 laps to go, and, hey, drivers' tensions are getting high. They're all trying to get that lucky dog. Stuff like that can happen.
All right, so we've got a half lap before we're going to go back to green flag racing. Now, let's talk fuel strategy again. When we go to green, there's going to be 57 laps left. And there may be some guys that can honestly make this if we stay green.
Well, the key is those caution laps we just had. We had like 7 laps of caution. That should give a lot of guys enough cushion. And some of the guys did come in and top off.
Including the 32 car of James Buescher. Buescher still on the lead lap, running in 15th position. Brad Coleman, the last car on the lead lap, with 16. Coming out of turn 4, the 73,000 plus on their feet again as we get ready to go back to green flag racing. It's Kyle Busch, Joey Logano, Scott Wimmer, Brad Keselowski, Jason Leffler. That's your top 5. And again, Kyle Busch just begins to pull away. Joey Logano right with him. Let's check in with Vince Welch.
with Harold Holley, the crew chief of the 66. So we saw the incident on the track. Assess the damage for us as Stephen came in.
Caved the right front fender in pretty bad, but Stephen's doing a really great job in the Jimmy John's Monte Carlo tonight. We just been a little bit free in. We fought this car at Nashville a little bit. We had a little bit of trouble with it tonight, but we finally got it good enough there where we could get the lucky dog, and had a great pit stop right there, and felt like we was going to be able to beat the 99 out of it, but Steve was warming his tires up and the 60 blew in there and knocked his right front fender off. So I really don't understand what went down there, but we'll just do the best we can do with it.
Guys, the 66 just warming up his tires when they said Edwards came up and slammed into him. That was Harold Holley's explanation and the explanation of driver Stephen Wallace.
So as usually happens, two different versions of this thing, and until everybody sees the videotape, they may not know exactly what happened, and who knows if Carl even knew he was 2 laps down. We just won't know for a while.
Sometimes you just call that racing. That is just hardcore racing. These guys got together. Let's move on right now. That's what they need to do. Get it out of their system. You got some time. You have to make this thing up.
And that's a battle for 5th, so that's where we're going to move on to, because David Reagan is trying to get around Jason Leffler.
Well, these guys are going at each other. Talk about hardcore racing. These guys are doing it right here.
Yeah, they really are. Jason's had some time in his car. He's not cup racing this weekend. Got it handling good. And David Reagan, who had a bad qualifying run, has been working on it.
Hey, check it out here for the lead.
Look at this.
Joey Logano on the outside.
And he makes it look easy as he goes on the high side of Kyle Busch. So Joey Logano, who led early in this race,
baby. Good job. You're the man.
for 22 laps, now takes over the lead. Kyle Busch had led for 85.
Now, you got to think, is Kyle Busch going into a fuel conservation mode here and just let Joey Logano get pass, or, you know, did he really have that strong a car?
Well, we have to watch some lap times right now, Andy, because, I mean, that last set of tires they put on it could have been a system where it's just not handling right. And Joey's obviously handling perfect right now. We're watching his lap times. That last time by was about 0.3 of a second faster than Kyle.
Save that right front for me, baby.
Save that right front. These cars have a tendency to really push the front ends, and if you push it too hard, you can tear the tire up.
Okay, how do you actually do that as a driver? When he says save that right front, and I've done it before. I've told my guy, save the right front. How do you actually do it?
You just can't don't overdrive the car on the entry. Don't drive it so deep, and don't put a lot of wheel into it, Andy. I mean, just don't steer it that much. And if you got to run a little higher on the track, go ahead and do it. Just don't abuse it. Now, a driver can feel that, and he can control that with his brake and his gas pedal.
Take a look a little bit further back. That battle for 5th place continues to unfold as Reagan continues to try and close the gap with the 38 of Jason Leffler. Right in front of them is Brad Keselowski, our winner from last week. Leffler gets a little high. You're looking back from Keselowski, but Reagan can't sneak the car underneath.
I've been watching Jason Leffler run this car. He's been running up a little bit on the racetrack, especially in 3 and 4, doing maybe what you're saying, Rusty, trying to save that right front.
All right, let's get an update on Kyle's condition. Is there anything wrong with this car out there, Shannon?
Well, we're down here with Jason Ratcliffe, crew chief for Kyle Busch right now. Seems like you guys have lost a little momentum. What is Kyle saying about this car right now?
Well, we've been a little tight all night, and we've just been sneaking up on it, making small adjustments. But we felt like that's probably going to be our last stop, so we wanted to make sure we went far enough. Right now, he's just a little too free. It'll come to him. We'll be good at the end.
And do you think you guys have something for the 20? Can you retake the lead from the 20? Can you guys retake the lead from the 20? Do you feel like you guys are strong enough to retake that lead?
I mean, both those cars are they're identical, you know. So I think so. It's just going to be a matter of you know, how the cautions fall, if there's any more, or if it goes green, and we'll see.
All right, we'll let Jason Ratcliffe get back to work, getting Kyle Busch back to the field, guys.
And while he's getting back to work, Brad Keselowski dropped 2 spots as it was David Reagan getting around him, as well as Jason Leffler. So move Leffler up to 4th, Reagan to 5th, drop Keselowski down to the 6th position.
42 laps to go in the NASCAR Nationwide Series 300-miler in Kentucky tonight. You're looking at the race for the lead. Joey Logano in the 20 and the Sprint Cup Series championship leader Kyle Busch in the 18 the man who's won everything about there is to win so far this year. You think Logano cares that that's Kyle behind him?
I think he cares not. The youngster has got his foot buried in it. He is running a smooth line, holding a pretty wheel. Oh, Kyle's going to have to get up on the wheel to get past this youngster.
Joey doesn't really pay a whole lot of attention to who it is he's racing around these days.
I don't really, think about who I'm racing against. I mean, you're not thinking about, it's Casey Kanan, Kyle Busch, or Tony Stewart, Frank, all those guys. You don't really think about them, and they all put their pants on the same way you do. So it's not that big of a deal. There's still 43 cars out there like every other week.
And if you want to win these races and beat these guys, that's the only way you can think about it, is not care who it is that's behind you, like Kyle Busch. Let's go up to speed and get some updates on some of these front runners and contenders for the win. Mike, you got the leader.
And the big word hovering over Joey Logano's head since he's made his debut, pressure. I asked his crew chief, Dave Rogers, at the beginning of the week, what's it like having a kid who has all this attention being paid to him, people asking only in his third race, when's he going to win? Well, Dave said that's an unfair question. He said also, the guy who's asking that question the most is the guy who's driving the race car. Logano believes he has the talent and the capability to get to victory lane very quickly. It could happen tonight. He thinks he can go to victory lane. He has enough fuel to go the distance. Shannon?
Well, Mike, Kyle Busch has been very quiet on the radio since Joey Logano took the lead. The last word from that 18 car was that it was a little bit loose. Now, this 18 team has finished second in this race the last 2 years, so certainly this team wants to break that trend and go to victory lane here tonight. Mike?
The key moment, perhaps, for the 29 of Scott Wimmer and crew chief Pat Smith came 2 pit stops ago when they elected to stop for fuel only. It gave them a lot of track position and has put them in contention for the win. They've been running inside the top 5 since. Wimmer's been pretty quiet, pretty content with his car. Jamie?
And behind him, Jason Leffler, last pit stop, 136. His crew chief, Paul Wolf, told me they were about 7 laps short on fuel. He said, we have gotten terrible fuel mileage tonight. However, we had that caution flag. They were out there for about 4 laps under caution. Paul told me they're going to be real close. Jason Leffler right now, they need this top 5 finish. I asked him today, he said, we had the worst month of May. We lost so many cars in crashes. He said, this is the only car we have right now. Shannon?
Yeah, David Reagan, his over-the-wall guys, had a great pit stop on that last pit stop. 14.4 seconds gave them a lot of momentum. But Mike Kelly, crew chief, told me, caution on the track, guys.
It is Kyle Busch who has crashed off of turn number 2. Can you believe it?
Unbelievable. This cat had checked out earlier today. He was running down Joey Logano. I mean, he was right in his tracks. And boy, that's just what we talked about earlier. You just never know what's going to happen.
Drive it back.
Don't turn it off until it's over.
Man, it's incredible.
The wild thing about sports.
Boy, Joey Logano just took a deep breath, though. I'll tell you that right now.
Wow. So 36 laps to go. The man who's dominated the night is crashed off of turn number 2. Look at the damage to that car.
Well, he's narrowed that thing up. He hit driver's side, it looks like, pretty hard. We'll need to see the replay on that to see exactly what happened. How did he get turned over that way? So he complained about a loose race car, Alan, and
wow.
We heard him talking about that a little earlier.
See the safety workers there with Kyle as he unbuckles. And Marty, you talk about a twist of plot.
Yeah, I don't think any of us would have planned this one, although this is not the first time this year that we've seen this happen to Kyle. And I don't know if he got any help here or what, but obviously he had the dominant race car early in this. Now let's take a look. He's on the right side of your screen.
Yeah, you can see he's right down on that white line. That car just got out from under him right there.
Well, they said it was loose.
Yeah, you don't know if the left front wheel maybe touched the apron just a little bit, de-wedged the car, which makes it real loose, or what happened, but that was just a freak deal right there. You hardly ever see Kyle Busch just spinning out in something like this, but way loose.
So Kyle cannot save it this time, and we're going to find out who pits now as pit lane is open. Here comes Reagan. Mike Wallace, his crew's got to do better than the last time. He lost a bundle of spots. Shannon, let's send it to you.
Mike Wallace has been happy with his car all night, guys, as he pulls it down pit road. He's looking for another solid finish here tonight. Of course, coming off a 6th place finish last week in Nashville, as those guys go to work on that right side, that left side. Mike Wallace, 4 town. Over to Jamie.
And Clint Boyer said the car is getting better. It's coming to him. He's been working his way forward. It's taken quite a bit of time for Clint Boyer. He came in, he was 6th, so they topped off. And he is down and away. Behind him, David Stremme. This time last week, guys, this was a crucial point for him. He ended up staying out. He told me today, if I had it to do over again, I would pit. He just pitted. They're definitely going to make it to the end and go for the win for David Stremme. Guys.
Well, back here at Kentucky Speedway, that's what's left of Kyle Busch's number 18. That car with Brad Coleman finished second in this race last year, and it looked like it had a good shot at winning, but the car was loose when they made their last pit stop, and he couldn't save this one. This reminds me of Nashville. This happened to us back at the March race in Nashville.
He just had a dominant car early, and they'd made this adjustment anticipating the track would get tighter, but the car just too loose. He just loses it off the corner.
I just wonder if that last pit stop, they loosened the car up or not, because he was complaining it was tight. He might have made an adjustment. You never know. But it looks like he clipped the white line there. He actually hit the white line and went up, and as he was bringing it back down, it got loose on him. So only the driver knows. We'll have to talk to him in a second.
And that's what's left of the car. We should tell you the Aaron's Lucky Dog goes to the 99 of David Rudiman. Take a look. As for all the great things that have happened, here are some of the not so great things that have happened. As 5 DNFs, all crashes, including tonight. Vince, let's send it to you.
Well, certainly a frustrating finish for Kyle Busch. Kyle, what happened?
I'm not sure. I don't know. Just, you know, we made some adjustments there. Jason and the guys gave me an awesome car. I mean, that thing was flawless, and I don't know what happened. I just been complaining about tight all night. You know, we made some adjustments there and got it loose in the first couple laps, but then, you know, it started coming to, and I was tight there when I wrecked, so I don't know what exactly happened. I just lost it, I guess, and hit the wall. I hate it for these guys. That was a great car.
Did you feel like you might have had something for Joey down the stretch?
Yeah, I mean, they kept getting tighter and tighter the more we went, but he was out in clean air, so he had a little bit of advantage there, and I was just kind of riding, doing about 90%, and you know, seeing what was going to play out in the final laps and seeing if we can catch him.
Had not been committed previously, but will you run at Milwaukee?
No, I'm done.
Kyle Busch saying he won't be at Milwaukee next week.
Well, and let's do one other thing. I mean, a lot of people have taken him to task for when things go bad, not being the guy who stands up and just says what really needs to be said and taking care of business. He did that tonight, so let's point that out.
Yeah, he just kind of manned up there and said, hey, I just lost it. Doesn't really know why. And I know that's confusing to somebody when he's got such a good car and the thing just jumps out from under you.
Well, you got to hand it to him. He drove that baby from the back all the way to the front and told everybody he lost it, and he did, so.
All right, our fifth caution is about to end as we are going to have 31 laps to go. This time by, it is Joey Logano. Can he win at the age of 18? Scott Wimmer, Jason Leffler, Brad Keselowski, Marcus Ambrose. That's your top 5. Listen to this crowd.
Tell you what, that first 3 cars got a good jump on the lap cars and got out of there. Got in that clean air. Take a look at Jason Leffler going on the inside of Wimmer, going for second place.
Down into 3, and he's cleared him already. So Leffler trying to set sail in his Toyota.
Now the top 7 cars stayed out under that last caution. Everybody else on the lead lap pitted. Got some tires and enough fuel. These leaders should have enough fuel. We've had enough caution flags that they should make it to the end.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I don't think there's going to be any problem there right now, Andy. It's just, and look at Joe Logano up there. Got that clean air, laying those big lap times out. But Leffler, he's had a bad month, man. He wants to get back in that groove and get that thing going. He's looking good right now.
Talked about opportunity. Remember, we had 7 of our top 8 qualifiers had never won a NASCAR Nationwide Series event, including that young man right there, 18-year-old Joey Logano. If he pulls this off, he becomes the youngest winner in Nationwide Series history. Casey Atwood currently holds the title.
Well, he's got the tools he needs to get the job done. He knows that. And he's won a lot of races in that Busch East Series, which is now the Camping World Series. Everything the kid's been in, he's been pretty good at. So he's capable, he's confident, and boy, confidence is everything in the world.
Well, it is Father's Day tomorrow, and Mike Massaro has caught up with what could be a very proud papa.
This could be a very special Father's Day weekend for the Loganos. This is Tom Logano, the man who put Joey inside a race car at 6 years old. What's this like for you watching this unfold?
Oh, it's incredible. It's been a long journey, and he's coming through like a champ. I'm amazed. I'm simply amazed.
You've seen him. You could probably better assess his talent better than anybody. How does he look tonight?
He can do it. He's got the talent. He can do it. I'm sure he can do it. Just he'll keep his head together. He'll be fine.
As a huge crowd has already begun to assemble here in the 20 pit, people sensing that this could be a very special night.
27 laps away from setting nationwide series history in only his 3rd start in the series. Joey Logano has a 0.7 of a second lead over Jason Leffler. That last lap, they both ran 31s.
And I'll guarantee you those 27 laps feel like 100 to Joey Logano. When you've got this few laps to go and you got that big a lead, you're like, my gosh, when's this thing going to end? You just want this dream to happen.
Let's talk a little bit about poise versus pressure. When you're 18, you're out in front, and you're in this situation. What was it like for you when you were that young, Rusty?
Well, when I was that young, I really didn't think too straight, Marty. I was just on the throttle trying to win everything in the world, and if somebody told me I couldn't do it, I didn't agree with them. I just went for it and said, hey. In fact, I got accused a lot of times early in my career of being one of the most cocky cats out there. And looking back at it, I probably was.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, take a look at, there's your top 3, Logano, Leffler, and Wimmer. Brad Keselowski is now 4th. He's 2 seconds behind the race lead. Then Brian Clausen, there he is. He has now worked his way into the 5th position with Marcus Ambrose right behind him. So Clausen, remember he had that great run back at Daytona, and then all of a sudden things like the wheels were falling off. This could be a good turnaround for them.
These young guys are making the most of this opportunity, we've been calling it. And this one guy right here, I've been watching him. He's made a lot of passes. Very clean. You see his car didn't have a mark on it.
Shannon, you've got more?
Yeah, of course, you did mention Brian Clausen's great run at Daytona. And what a great run for this young man here tonight. He actually turns 19 tomorrow. Guys, this is his 6th race in this car. Of course, he took over the 40 ride when Dario Franchitti got injured at Talladega. He says being in this car week in and week out has helped him so much, helped him get a feel for the car, really helped him be able to communicate how this car should be set up and what he needs out of it on the track.
19 tomorrow. Boy, he might be considered an old man.
Well, he's doing a great job in Chip Ganassi's car, that's for sure. I mean, Chip needs a little luck in NASCAR right now. Indy cars and everything else have been fantastic for him, but he struggled.
That's Marcus Ambrose with Mike Bliss right behind him. That is a battle for position on 6th on the track. Ambrose in the 59, Bliss in the 1. Let's get more on that 59 STP car. Vince?
Well, these guys were hoping that it was going to go green all the way to the end because they felt as though they were going to be able to make it on fuel mileage, and some of those ahead of them would not. But right now, Ambrose in the 6th spot and trying to protect that position from Mike Bliss. Regardless of whether Ambrose would somehow end up in victory lane tonight, this has almost got to be considered a victory for this team, considering some of the trials it has been through this year. When you talk to Marcus Ambrose early in the year, pretty down on his luck. They had that 2nd place run at Mexico City on his strength, the road course, but on the ovals, they just had not been able to put it together. But they have put it together this week, and what a shot in the arm it is for crew chief Gary Cogswell and this driver, Marcus Ambrose.
Great stuff, Vince, as they continue to work that battle. And also another battle that seems to be heating up is just a little bit further back, as you've got Mike Wallace, Clint Boyer. They're duking it out for 9th on the track. There is Mike on the left side of your screen in the 7 Geico Camry, and right behind him is Clint Boyer for Richard Childress Racing.
Boy, look at Mike Wallace's car. That bad pit stop earlier in the race here, Andy, has really got him so far behind. I believe it was all the way up to 3rd place, hit pit road and went all the way back to 10th or something like that.
That was the money stop, we call it. And they came down pit road and they really needed a good pit stop, and they must have had a little problem, went back to about 10th spot. So they just went ahead and pitted this last caution and got fresh tires to try to get back on offense and maybe pass some of these guys back.
Stephen Wallace in the 66 is the first car 1 lap down. He's hoping for a caution to get back on the lead lap, and both Ambrose and Bliss get around him.
And he's been in position with that lucky dog, the 66 here, has had all night long and just can't seem to get it. He's got a fast enough car. If he gets that lucky dog, I believe he can probably pick up a lot of positions, but see what happens here.
While all this is going on, Joey Logano has not lost any part of his lead. He's at 1.4 seconds. Take a look at Brad Keselowski. He is currently running in 4th after last week's big win, and if everything ends the way it is right now, he would pick up 3 spots in the points championship. We talked at the pre-race, and you were asked by Alan Bestwick, you and Brad Daugherty both, is he a legitimate contender? That sort of says yes.
Oh yeah, absolutely he is. I mean, this kid's been doing this week in and week out. I mean, these good top 5 finishes. He's got a good horse he's riding right now. Dale Jr.'s gave him a good car, him and Rick Hendrick, and he's taken advantage of it and really shining. I mean, he's been smooth all throughout the night. He's been our in-race reporter, and every time we talk to him, he's real calm, telling us what the car is doing. I'm still real impressed, guys.
He's calm but confident. He believes that he can win this championship, and he believes he can win races, and he's starting to prove it.
Well, he talked about his first win and talked about the points championship as well.
You know, it's a huge relief for the team. Felt confident in my team that we could win a race, and now that we've got that out of the way, I feel like now we can continue to run up front consistently and maybe even run for the championship.
Well, he's got about a 2.5 lead over 5th place Brian Clausen. So right now, Brad trying to reel in Scott Wimmer, who is running in 3rd, but with 16 laps to go, I'm not sure that anybody has anything for the guy who's running up front, Joey Logano. But for Brad, the big weekend last weekend, as he picked up the win, and another good, strong performance here with another top 5. That's the margin he's got to cover to get up to our race leader, young 18-year-old Joey Logano. You know, with all the hype, guys, that this young man got when he came into the series and finally turned 18 years old, did you honestly believe that he would come out of the gate this fast, or were you sort of wondering, more hype than the goods?
Man, I'll tell you, I've got an opinion. Andy, what's yours?
Well, I was skeptical, honestly. I didn't think that a kid this young could just jump in this series, even in the best car, and go out there and win. But I'm going to tell you, he has proven me wrong. He's out there getting it done, and he hasn't really made any mistakes.
Well, I watched him in the Camping World Series, and he was really dominant. I watched him over at Rockingham, North Carolina, in that ARCA race. He did a great job there. When he got in this 20 car, I know I said in the pre-race show, I know you're going to think I'm crazy, but it does make sense that he's running this good, because he's ran good in everything he's got in, and he's riding a really good car right now, and he's making use of it.
You see Mike Bliss in the number 1. He has gotten around Mike Wallace. Wallace is in front of Reagan.
And Wallace just ran the fastest lap on the racetrack last lap. He's got that car rolling. If he just had not had that bad pit stop, he could actually contend for this win.
And he's right back up on the back bumper. Here he goes on the high side.
Look at that momentum off the corner that Mike's got. He shot to the top right underneath Bliss.
That's a good handling race car. He's handling down the straightaway, too.
Oh, yeah, the motors are strong in those Toyotas, that's for sure. But, you know, he really made use of that corner, though. He went up the track, got a lot of momentum, and came back down and shot right underneath Bliss.
Got 2 more spots up ahead of him right here, too. Mike Bliss is not giving up.
Nope, Bliss trying to come back underneath him.
Well, not with 12 laps to go. He doesn't want to give up position this late in the race, that's for sure. But Mike's just got to make use of the top of that racetrack, keep that momentum wound up. And he does right there, so that was a good corner for him. Should be able to pull away right now.
That's David Reagan, the 2nd car behind there, as he's looking to go underneath the 1 of Mike Bliss as well, with 12 laps remaining here at Kentucky.
Now, you got to remember one thing. David Reagan didn't have any practice at all in the 6 car. He came down from Michigan from the Cup event up there, got in it, and was all over the place trying to get it qualified, got real loose, but he's had enough time to make pit stops, adjust on the car, and get it to his liking, and he's making use of his 9th position right now.
Trying to slide it underneath. They head down the back straightaway. Here comes Reagan. He's got the inside line. Can he get him clear before the end of 3? Not quite.
Mike Bliss doesn't have as fresh of tires as the 6 car does right here, so I don't believe this is going to be much of a fight. Although, here he comes. He's not giving up.
Well, Bliss might have saw that top lane working for Mike Wallace and said, I'm going to try that out a little bit, see if that's going to work for me. You got to remember, these engines don't have much horsepower. They got that new tapered spacer, which puts them about 80 horsepower off of what they had last year. So these guys have really got to make use of the momentum at this racetrack to make up for the loss.
Reagan still trying to get the job done and can't quite close the deal. This time by, it'll be 8 laps to go here at Kentucky.
I'll tell you what, guys, one thing I've noticed throughout the night, this racetrack is really racy here tonight. I mean, they're running on the top, the bottom, in the middle, all over this place. It's definitely not a single-file racetrack, that's for sure.
This battle just will not end here at Kentucky. Take a look at the battle for 2nd. Scott Wimmer is underneath the 38 of Jason Leffler. Remember, Wimmer finished 3rd here last year. trying to at least go one step higher. Jamie, you've got more?
Jason Leffler just came on the radio and said he thinks he has a wheel falling apart or loose. He's not sure. He's asking a spotter who's Clint Boyer's father, what should I do? They said stay out right now. We got to take the gamble.
Well, Leffler only has one top 5 in 2008. That was 4th back at Talladega. Right now, he's sitting in 2nd spot, a full 2 seconds behind our race leader, and he's got his hands full with Scott Wimmer in 3rd. Where's the race leader? Right up there, going around Eric McClure and just setting sail.
I can tell you what, right now, he's hearing every little wrong thing that might happen with that car. Leaks and squeaks and bounces and vibrations. And I mean, when you got a big lead like this and it's only 7 laps to go, and this is your first big nationwide win, I can tell you, you're hearing everything. You're very nervous as a driver right now.
Let me ask you, Dad, put yourself in Tom Logano's position. There he is. How nervous would you be if you were standing down in his shoes?
I'm chewing my fingernails off right now watching this kid. I'm sure he's got them all gone himself. He's a nervous papa, that's for sure. You can tell in his interviews he's very confident, though.
You saw Scott Wimmer take over 2nd place from Leffler, so Leffler's situation continues to deteriorate. Easy for me to say. Yeah, thank you. Let's do that in unison. He may fall into the clutches of Brad Keselowski if this race doesn't end soon for him. Remember, we may have a wheel off there, but right now it's all about Joey Logano. Look at this, 71 laps led tonight, and here he comes by now after 196 laps of 200. There'll be 4 to go next time by.
If there's any question about this kid being for real, he's answered them tonight.
Look at the lead he's got. I mean, it's a huge lead.
Want to let everybody know the reason we don't have the ticker across the top of the screen, we've got a bit of a technical glitch. We're working on it. We'll keep you posted. Right now, it's all about Joey Logano because with 4 laps remaining, he's got a 2.7 second lead. All he has to do is bring this car home.
I'm sure his crew chief's telling him everything. Hey, take it easy, hit your marks. Don't run different lines than you've been running all night long. Just keep running the same line. Do the same thing you've been doing.
We haven't seen this car out of shape all night, Rusty.
No, I haven't seen this car get loose, tight, nothing. It's just been stuck to the racetrack like glue. And I will tell you, we've seen this 20 car like this all year long with a bunch of drivers. But, you know, you really got to think, can an 18-year-old do it? And he's doing it.
Well, 3 laps, we'll know.
We will.
Again, the sticker is still being worked on back in our technical end, so we'll keep all the updates for you as best we can. Logano's lead right now, 2.6 seconds. Jason Leffler, another 3 seconds behind in 3rd. Mike Wallace is now 4th. Brad Keselowski is 5th, so a great run going for Mike Wallace as well. But right now, Joey Logano, as he comes by this time, it will be 2 laps remaining here at Kentucky Speedway. As he goes underneath slower traffic, gets around the 52 of Brad Teague.
Getting ready to make history right here.
I'll tell you, it's a big day in motorsports. There's no doubt about that. When you get a kid this young, getting it done out here in the racetrack. He's won in the Nationwide Series. If he pulls it off for here in about another lap, he's won in the Camping World Series, Bandoleros, everything he's got in, legend cars, the whole 9 yards. White flag.
All right, 1 more lap, babe. 1 more lap. Take care of it. 2.5 second lead.
Casey Atwood was the youngest winner back in 1999. He was 18 years, 10 months, 26 days. Guess what? Joey Logano's going to better that by almost 9 full months. He is 18 years, 21 days, and boy, what a Father's Day present he is going to give to Dad, because the 18-year-old in only his 3rd start is going to win a NASCAR Nationwide Series race at Kentucky.
Unbelievable. Proud papa right there.
You're going to have a good Father's Day tomorrow, that's for sure.
8th different winner in this race in 8 years. And another opportunity capitalized by one of our young guns in the Nationwide Series.
I guarantee that's the first of many.
Yeah, this is good for the sport. It's exciting. It's just amazing. I'll guarantee you, Joe Gibbs, J.D. Gibbs, sitting back there watching this right now, going to be loving this moment. They picked him a long time ago, and it was a good pick for him.
Well, I'll tell you, an incredible story. Let's talk to the proud father, Jamie.
Happy Tom Logano, look at getting the happy Father's Day. Tom, what were those last few laps like?
Man, they were tough, but I knew he could do it. I just wanted the car to stay together, and the team is great. Joe Gibbs Racing is the best. Dave Rogers is the best, and Joey is the best, man. These guys are great.
Tom, honestly, how many races did you think it was going to take before your son won?
I figured about 10, and he did it in 3. That's awesome.
How does this Father's Day compare to anything in the past?
Number 1, baby. Number 1.
Congratulations. Go celebrate with your son. Tom Logano is going to run over and greet his son as he does his first burnout here in the Nationwide Series.
This track is unbelievable. 8 different winners in 8 races, and this is the 3rd straight year, guys, where we've had a first-time winner here. Dave Gilliland back in 06, and then, of course, last year was Stephen Light, and now Joey Logano. Well, this was the celebration, and literally in his first win, Joey Logano flattens both tires. He barely made it to victory lane as he shredded the cords, and the fireworks in the background as he wins his first race, becoming the youngest ever to win in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. And there you see what's left of the tires. And Mike Massaro is in victory lane with our new winner.
And Joey Logano climbing out the car, a winner. Every member of the Joe Gibbs Racing team stopping by to give him a high five and a handshake. You certainly get the sense this is a special moment in victory lane. Joey Logano, who got behind the wheel of a race car for the first time at age 6, a go-kart in the state of Connecticut, rises up to the ranks and gets his first career win in the Nationwide Series. How would you describe this moment?
Oh, unbelievable. That's for sure. Man, I gotta thank GameStop and all the guys here. That was crazy. All the fans for being here today. Couldn't ask for a better Father's Day gift, that's for sure. I was wondering if I was gonna get my dad. This will work plenty good, I think. But I mean, the team did amazing today. I didn't think we had the car today. I mean, we unloaded in practice. I said, shoot, we'll be happy we get a top 5 out of this deal today. And got it going, and got the pole, and it was too tight. Kyle got by us, and then freed it up, got back by Kyle, and then he got loose or something, hit the fence. But I tell you what, how about this team? Freaking amazing.
So we're all asking about how amazing this team is, how amazing you are. There's been so much written about you, so much said about you. But how would you assess your own potential? What's next?
I don't know. I gotta live this whole moment first before I think about anything else.
Well, congratulations to Joey Logano and the entire Joe Gibbs Racing team. A big Father's Day win for Tom Logano. Joey Logano getting his first career win, the first of many, no doubt.
The celebration will go long into the night, and we apologize. Our ticker, well, it basically blew a tire heading into the home stretch. And so let's tell you, it was Joey Logano, then it was Scott Wimmer in second. Mike Wallace finishes with third. There is Dad as he gets a hug and his present from Father's Day. Brad Keselowski fourth, then Brian Clausen fifth. And you're saying, what happened to Leffler? Well, that tire came back to bite him. He was the last car in the lead lap, 16th. We'll talk more about what happened tonight when we come back. All right, let's go back to a moment early in the race. Remember, we couldn't figure out what was going on between the 60 of Carl Edwards and the 66 of Stephen Wallace. Well, this is when they were forming up. And what we should point out, a couple cars passed Carl. Well, he does not have to give up those spots, even though he's 2 laps down versus the 1 lap down. And that is what we think has transpired here. And then Stephen, trying to warm up the tires, ends up making the contact and spinning around. And another look at it from there, and he ended up having to come back in. Stephen ended up finishing 17th, 1 lap off the pace. And Shannon Spake caught up with Stephen.
Well, here was Stephen Wallace, 17th place finish, but a lot of action on the track between you and Carl Edwards. I know there was a lot of confusion. What happened?
First of all, I want to say off by that. I want to thank my sponsor, thank Jimmy Johns. I know that Carl Edwards would never me to do something like that. It was just a little bit miscommunication between his crew chief and him. He thought that he was supposed to be in front of me, and like he went 3 wide, and I wasn't heating my tires, and I got inside of him. But it's just like we both kind of collided. But I'd blame it on the spotters and crew chiefs before anything. But overall, our Jimmy Johns, Chevrolet was just free in all night long, and just couldn't ever really get a good grip on it. So it's just we'll take 17th. I think I was all right at 9 points, but me and Carl are cool, and I know he wanted me to do that. So we'll suck it up and go to Milwaukee.
All right, Stephen Wallace heads to Milwaukee, guys. 17th place finish for him this evening.
So a little bit more on the explanation of how that all came about, and of course that helps put a period on that story.
Well, it just makes a little sense now. We couldn't quite make sense of it when it happened because we only caught the tail end of it. But sounds like these guys are okay with it, and didn't really hurt them too bad.
Nah, they're fine with it. I mean, Steven's a lap down, and so is the 47. He thought he could fly in front of the Edwards, who was 2 laps down, and you don't have to do that. Carl didn't have to move over.
Well, that's some of the 73,000 plus. And let's get the other side of this thing. Shannon's caught up with Carl.
That's right, here with Carl Edwards. Now, we spoke with Stephen Wallace. He said it was confusion. What is your take on what happened between you and Stephen Wallace on the track, Carl?
I feel like the biggest idiot ever. We're having the worst performance of my career out there. And what happened was I asked who we were racing. And I got a list of people, the 66, and it went on down the line. And I thought, well, I can't. If I'm racing them, I can't let them go, so I just was trying to get back in front of them. There's a miscommunication, and we were coming to the green, and my apologies to Steven and all his guys. It went from being just a bad night to terrible affecting somebody else's night because we weren't communicating well. So it's City Fusion. We got a lot of work to do, and I talked to Steven. We're fine. It's just miscommunication.
Now, you told me in the pre-race that if that car was not where you wanted it to be, you guys were going to make some major changes, and you did that. What did you learn here tonight that you guys can use next week when you're in a similar situation with doing the double duty?
I don't know what we can learn from tonight. I'll be honest with you, that's the worst we've ever run. And it's not because everybody's not working hard. I mean, my guys work hard at the shop. They work hard at the engine shop. We just have to go back and figure out what we're not doing right. David Reagan had a pretty good run, so we're going to look at his notes. And just not a good night. Congrats to Joey Logano. That's amazing to see that young man do that.
All right, well, good luck to you this weekend in Michigan.
Thanks, Shannon. And as you can see, we did get the ticker back, so you'll be able to see the entire rundown of the results here as the celebration continues in the first victory of 18-year-old Joey Logano's Nationwide Series career. Stay with us. The NASCAR Nationwide Series of Kentucky, brought to you by the U.S. Navy. Navy, accelerate your life. And Degree Men, more power than you need. One day, you'll need it. And as we come back here, last year he finished third. Tonight, Vince Welch, Scott Wimmer finishes second.
Yeah, Marty finished behind a couple of teenagers last year, and he finished behind a teenager. Done. If we get these teenagers out of the deal, I think you're going to be in victory lane. But still a good run for you tonight.
Yeah, that shows how much the sport's changed, and those guys had a good race car tonight. Really proud of Pat Smith, everybody on Holiday and Chevrolet. We've been struggling lately, and we made some big steps to getting it right tonight. So hopefully we'll go up to Milwaukee next week and we run strong up there.
Third here at this track last year. In 5 trips to Kentucky Speedway, you've had 4 top 5s. What is it about this track that suits you?
I don't know. You know, all our notes don't compare to any other racetrack either, it seems like. So just something I'm really comfortable getting around here ever since the first time I saw the place. And feels good to have another top 5. We've been down in the dumps a little bit with running 7. So it's good to be back up in top 5, and we'll try to get them next week.
Yeah, big shot in the arm for Scott Wimmer and company tonight with a runner-up finish. Jamie?
Well, Vince, they say that consistency wins championships, and this guy just moved into second in the points. How does that sound, Brad?
Feels great. You know, we've got a great team here, and this is what we need to do. We need to get good finishes. We didn't have the best car today, and we got a top 5 out of it. Picker did an awesome job. The whole Navy team just did a great job for me. Got me out, passed cars on pit road all day, and I had a hard time passing by myself. It wasn't quite as strong as we needed to be to run the top 5, but they made up the difference for me. Just real proud of everyone on my U.S. Navy Chevrolet team.
Brad, what's it like first time coming back to a racetrack after your win, when everybody's talking about you being the winner? What was it like to get back in the race car?
Well, it's a lot of pressure because, you expect to do it every week now. So, I'm still happy with the top 5, but we want to be up there fighting with the 20 car, and we've got a little bit of work to do to catch up with them. But still proud of everyone on my team, and real happy to be up in second in points and just keep clawing away at it.
4 top 10s in a row, guys. He's looking for this championship.
And as you mentioned the points, let's show everybody at home how the points shake out. And you can see that Brad picks up 3 spots, guys, and he's now 170 behind Clint Boyer. David Ruderman drops a spot. Kyle drops 2, and you heard he will not go to Milwaukee as Reagan, Wallace also pick up 1 spot, and Stremme drops a spot to 9th. Let's give a tip of the hat to young Brian Clausen as he is 5th. Remember, he had his best at 6 back at Daytona, Vince.
Yeah, I saw this kid win a midget race at Anderson Speedway earlier this week, and he had a pretty good run again tonight. You told me earlier today you've got to be in position regularly before you can get that first win, and tonight you get a top 5. What was key to your success tonight?
The biggest key to our success tonight was that pit call by Brad Parrott and the guys on the Fastenal team there at the end to stay out. Clean air was really big for us, and it looked like a lot of guys. It's real tough to really complete passes unless you give and take a little bit. And once we got the clean air up front, we were really good on a long run and on old tires. So we felt like we could hold off the guys behind us, and the car was good from when we unloaded. So I'm just really proud of all the guys and how we rebounded from last week, and where we struggled at Nashville a little bit.
You celebrate your 19th birthday tomorrow, so a nice birthday present for you tonight. But Joey Logano at 18 winning, you with a top 5 finish at the age of 18. What does that say about the state of this series and the opportunities it provides for good young racers?
I think it shows that there's a little bit of a youth movement coming through, and we talked about earlier, just the amount of young guys coming into the sport right now is incredible, and the talent pool to draw from is getting really deep. So it's a great night for Joey and myself with a top 5. So it's just a good one for all the young guys here at Kentucky. This place is a really neat track, and it seems to like the younger guys in the past. So we kept it rolling tonight.
Yeah, Brian Clausen, you're going to hear a lot about this young man in the years to come.
And
Marty?
We had 2 18-year-olds in the top 5. Of course, Joey Logano being on the top of the poll. And take a look as Brian Clausen picks up his career best with a 5th. Landon Castle comes home in 11th. And James Buescher in 14th. And let's talk to one of the older guys. I won't call him an old man, Jamie, but he had a great run tonight, didn't he?
Well, he sure did. I think he has something to say about this youth movement. What was it in you tonight? First top 5 in 2 years, Mike? What was the difference?
Well, the race car did what it was supposed to do. I've always been capable of doing what I needed to do, but we fought a lot of battles tonight. Our car was very fast and ran really well, and we had some obstacles. If there's such thing as passing the most cars tonight, we won that award by far. But you know what's special about finishing 3rd is Geico is going to give free rate quotes tonight. If you call Geico, it's free rate quotes for finishing 3rd. What do you think about that?
You're such a salesman. See, that's the difference between the veterans and the young guns.
Yep.
But honestly, talk about the youth movement, Mike, and what it takes to compete at this level. At your age, you've been here quite a while.
Well, I wish we'd kind of quit worrying about that. I think we need to worry about the teams that the youth movement's driving for. I mean, it's nothing surprising, and congratulations to Joey Logano and Joe Gibbs Racing. I expected him to win. It was no big deal. I mean, that he did it. I think you got to remember the quality of race teams they're in. They did a great job. Young, talented individuals are really good, but us old guys can get it done too. My brother was sitting up in the booth, and he's still a real good race car driver, but he wants to talk about it instead. But I think we can all get it done, and we proved tonight we can. We have a race car to do what we need it to do. It's going to get it done. But I need to take a minute, if I can. Happy Father's Day to my dad, Russ Wallace, my father-in-law, Kenny Adams. We're not going to be home for Father's Day. We're going to do ESPN Roundtable with Rusty and Kenny on Monday night, so we're excited about that. But great race team. Germain Racing did a wonderful job. Thank Geico, Sport Clips, and Smith Transport for all their help. And Toyota's a good car, and we proved we can get it done. We got a good car.
One thing these Wallaces have in common, guys, the gift to gab.
He did a good job right there. He got all the plugs in, talked about all the sponsors, and probably going to talk more about it on Monday night during the roundtable with Alan Bestwick and Kenny and myself, and it's been a fun night.
There's Tom Logano. And remember we talked about Jason Leffler being so strong all day and so much needing a top 5 after the problems they had in May. Here's what happened on that last lap and dropped him all the way down to 16th position as that right front tire. Remember we were hearing on the radio that they thought they had a problem, and there it goes right off, and he ends up the last car on the lead lap. A tough break for the great Clips Toyota and Jason Leffler. They had a great run going until the very last lap. Stay with us. We've still got more from Kentucky Speedway. Oh, what a couple of weeks for young 18-year-old Joey Logano. Remember last week at Nashville, he ends up getting on his first pole in only his 2nd start. Well, then he got his first introduction to Nationwide Series contact. And, of course, it was not the kind of end he wanted. This afternoon, of course, here at Kentucky Speedway, picked up right where he left off as far as the qualifying trim was concerned, stuck it on the pole, and then at the start of the race, and in front of a record crowd of 73,000 plus. He takes the early lead and wraps off a few laps until lap 147. After Kyle Busch had led for 85 laps, he retakes the lead from Kyle. And then Kyle, being really his only threat at 164, Kyle takes that care of himself as he loses control and spins her out and crashes, ending his day with frustration after starting 35th, coming all the way back to lead 85 laps. That's the way it ended there. And then, of course, from that point on, it was time for the checkered flag and the celebration. Father Tom Logano gets his best dad's present ever. Joey burns the Goodyears to the cords, and then he heads for victory lane. And even though it's Dad's Day tomorrow, Mike, I guess we should bring the rest of the family in.
Yeah, I guess they enjoy a celebration just as much as the dad. And this is Debbie Logano and Joey's sister Danielle. And what's this like for you?
It is awesome, awesome. This is his dream that he's dreamed all his life, and he's finally made it. And I am so proud that he's come through, and I'm also proud of him as who he is as just Joey. You know, the way he handles himself with the media, with everyone, and just very proud.
What will you remember most about tonight?
Tonight, I'm so lucky that I'm here tonight for him. It's just a memory we'll never forget for his first time. I'm very proud of him.
How about you, Debbie? What stands out? What will you take from this that you'll never forget?
Just Kentucky, to be honest with you. He won the Young Lions Legend National here at the age of 11. So this is a really good track, and I'm speechless. I'm just totally speechless. Just trying to take as much as possible.
But I'm sure you said something to him. What did you say to him when he got out of the race car?
Just great job, and very proud of you, and love you. I love him. And I love him for who he is, not because he won a race, but because of who he is, my Joey.
Big win for the entire Logano family, guys.
It certainly is, and another night where we get to share some history.
Yeah, I'm just glad I was here to see this. I mean, just so impressed with this kid. All the hype he comes in here with, and he really makes good on it.
I tell you, the last 2 weeks have been unreal. With Brad Keselowski winning, and now Joey Logano winning the night. These guys are young, and it was defining moments, like I said last week, for both of these characters. They'll never forget what happened to Joey Logano tonight, and also what happened to Brad last week.
And what will happen next week in Milwaukee. AB, take us home.
Well, let's ask Brad. What'll happen next week in Milwaukee?
They're going to turn them up. They'll turn the wick up on that that flat mile up there in Milwaukee. It's going to be a lot of fun. Congratulations to Joey Logano. Had some great top 5 finishes tonight for some of the young guys. Got to be fired up moving on.
Cup guys' most difficult double commute of the year, coming from Sonoma out on the West Coast. Another opportunity race for a young guy. Then got Scott Wimmer, that hometown Wisconsin guy. He sticks in the back of my mind as somebody to watch next week, too.
He might bring it home.
We will see. Next week, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, ESPN2. Thanks for watching tonight in Kentucky. Joey Logano is your winner.